Hey y'all, good morning from the Tennessee River. We've got a beautiful sunrise and I've got this camera on just in time for you to see it popping up over the trees over yonder there. Me and you though, when we're done admiring that sunrise, we're getting ready to get after some catfish today, y'all. We're gonna take a section of this main channel ledge here and we're just gonna go. Fortunately and unfortunately, the wind is up right now, way more than I anticipated, but it's blowing downstream. So we're gonna be able to go into the wind and into the current and control our speed. And it looks like we're gonna have a beautiful sight while we're doing it right there, folks. Man, a sunrise from the Tennessee River, beautiful every time I see one. I never get tired of looking at it. I don't get tired of looking at no fish either, but I'm gonna get y'all in the chest here because we gotta get after it, man. Daylight's burning. So I'm gonna take my rigs here. We're gonna take a skipjack head, a skipjack chunk, and a white bass head to start with. We're gonna drag two baits. We're gonna suspend a bait. And me and you gonna get on the move today. I'm bringing y'all with me, my fishing partners out here. If we don't catch fish, it sure as hell ain't my fault. It's gotta be yours. And we're gonna have us a good time today, man. Let's throw this one off to the side here. I'm gonna get these rigs in the water and then we'll get our speed set and all that. Boy, you done got your float and everything. I was in such a rush to try to get the camera on so y'all could see a sunrise this morning. We got a mess here. We'll get it here going directly though, by gosh. Y'all just keep looking at that sunrise while I get us baited up. This and here's gonna be a chunk, and I'll show you these rigs here before we get them tossed out in case you're new to my channel and you wanna see what we're running here. I'll get this out of the way. We'll bait the suspended one, and then like I said, me and you, we're gonna get on the move. We're gonna cover water today. We're gonna try to run into some fish. And we're gonna have us a good time if we get on them. And the catfish bite lately has been pretty daggone good, man. It's been a struggle at times to find some quality fish, but most trips lately, I have been at least getting pretty good numbers of fish. So let me show you this rig. This is the first one we're gonna drop down. Or you can admire the sunrise, whatever the hell you wanna do. This is a Carolina rig. We've got 40-pound mainline, 8-ounce egg sinker down to a swivel, 80-pound monofilament down to a 10-aught size hook, and then we've got a Catfish Sumo bait stalker fly under that. Now, I'm gonna drop this rig straight down to the bottom. We're 51 feet deep here where we're at. And I'll show you the graph here in a minute and show you how we're gonna attack the day. So I've let that hit bottom there. I fill my sinker. I'm gonna reel down a little bit and then lift up and put this in the rod holder. So as we move along, our bait's gonna be down there just off the bottom a few feet. It's probably gonna be a little higher today than what I would normally want to run it. But that's because we're gonna be going into the wind, into the current. There's gonna be more resistance on that line as we move forward. And I want it a little higher today so that I don't have to fool with it as much as we're dragging along. I don't want to have to be adjusting it all the time. Now, fortunately through here, the depth is going to be pretty consistent. We're not going to have to do a lot of tinkering, but still, it is going to be a little bit of a depth change. So I'm going to come off spot lock here. I'm going to get us moving into this wind here, and we're going to set our speed. I'll show you the graph. Show you how we're going to work this area, why we're going to work this area, and we'll get our other dragging rigs put out, and then it's time to catch fish. And some of you is probably out there just as ready to catch them as I am. I hope you are anyway, because I want to get me some fish today, man. I loaded us up on bait there yesterday, which should have been my last video for regular viewers. I went and got us some skipjack. I got us some white bass. So we've got plenty enough bait today, and it is good and fresh. These catfish got no reason not to bite it. Okay, get that going. Let me show you this rig before I drop it down in case you knew. So this is a dragon rig, again, 40-pound mainline, But this time we've got a 3-way swivel instead of just your standard swivel. And on one end, I've got a homemade drag and sinker, which you can learn how to make these. There's a link down in the video description. And then on this end, I've got a longer section of 80-pound monofilament leader, which is probably this one I think's, I don't know, 3 or 4 foot long, down to a floating rattle, down to our bait, this one a skipjack head on the 10-aught size hook, and then a Catfish Sumo bait stalker fly a foot or so behind it. And I'm just gonna throw that right there behind us, and we'll start letting out line as we get our other one going. This rig here, exact same setup with one exception, 2 exceptions, excuse me. First one being we've got a chunk instead of a head bait, and this rig has no fly on it. I haven't tied any fly rigs lately, and I'm out. So we're rocking some of my older rigs that I still had tied up. So let me get our baits here back in the cooler. And me and you are gonna take off. I'll show you my graph here and we're gonna get after it. I'm gonna leave this camera rolling today. Raw and uncut, unedited. Y'all my fishing buddies today. I'm gonna fish for 3 or 4 hours out here this morning. So whatever happens during that time, whether it's catching fish, catching snags, catching a cold, who knows? Y'all out here for all of it. We caught more than a cold though, if you're seeing this video, just FYI. I wouldn't put you through sitting through a 3 or 4 hour skunk trip, all right? I wouldn't do that to you. Let's get that set, I'm gonna slow our speed down just a smidge more. And so, let me show you the graph here now before we really get going and I forget about it. Best you can see anyway. I know with the sun coming up over there, there's a little bit of a glare. So if you notice, there's an old creek bed that comes out. That's over here, right? And it looks like the creek mouth is back there at the edge of the land, right? Well, it's not. Not the original creek bed anyway. I'm fishing on the Tennessee River, which is it's a series of reservoirs. Back in the day, TVA, they flooded all of this when they built their hydroelectric dams. So where that creek used to end and dump out to the river was actually right out here where we're at. And now it just looks like it's back there because of the way that the water has come up. But anyway, we started right here where that creek come out. And if you notice, there's a ledge right here. And what we're kind of fishing, even though it looks like just open water right here, it's really not. It's an old secondary channel that we're gonna go up through here. And we're gonna work this break line, this edge here where it drops off. You've got this creek that flowed through. You've got a deeper flat up here, which would have been land back in the day. And then you got it where it drops off. We're gonna try to work this edge, just a big long stretch of it. Now over here to the left, you notice maybe the depth comes up some more, right? We're 50 feet here, it comes up over here in the 30s, and then off on the other side, it drops off to the main river channel. So back in the day, I don't know if this was like an island up here that would have been exposed, or if maybe it was just an area underwater that just come up. But either way, the way the river flowed around, you had the main river channel, and then you had a little secondary channel that come around this way. We're gonna work the secondary channel this morning. And I wanna work it because that's where this creek here, if fish wanted to work back in that creek and then retreat out to deeper water, the first deeper water they're gonna come to is this secondary channel. There's also another pocket up here and then another creek that feeds in. And so I just wanna work this channel up through here this morning, just fishing all the way up through here. So as fish, maybe they've retreated out to deeper water, they're working up and down through here, staging up before they go in and out. Whatever the case may be, I wanna try to just put baits in front of those fish this morning. Most of the fish I've been getting lately, the better quality ones, have been deeper. They've been on these main channel ledges, deeper holes, stuff like that. So we're not gonna have any holes up through here that we're gonna run into. but the depth is going to be pretty consistent around that 50 foot, 45 to 55 foot depth really, but 50 foot-ish on average is kind of what we're going to be fishing this morning. And like I said, we're going to put in 3 or 4 hours out here and just go, try to keep our speed half a mile an hour-ish. So we'll cover 1.5 miles, 2 miles out here this morning at this ledge, and if there's some fish through here, we're going to catch them. So I'm going to put you in the chest, let y'all ride up here with me. It looks like we're going to be bouncing around a little bit from the wind, which was, I checked the wind report. It was saying light and variable today. I got out here and realized it was blowing significantly harder, and I pulled up the Wind Finder app, and it says it's blowing 1 mile an hour, maximum of 3 miles an hour. And I said, you got me again, weatherman, because there's no way in hell this is 3 miles an hour. But thankfully, it is blowing downstream, and that's going to help us a lot. First off, when it blows down with the current, you're not going to have as much chop as what you would have if it's blowing against the current. So that's very helpful when fishing in a kayak. You don't want a lot of chop. It just makes for a miserable day. The other thing is we actually have, allegedly, we have some flow out here this morning. TVA is generating a little bit. Now, we're a long ways from the dam, a long ways where we're at today. So probably not going to have any noticeable flow as far as just, us. We wouldn't be able to use the current flow that's going through to drift with or anything like that. The wind would be overpowering the current for sure. If we tried drifting down through here, we would be drifting much faster than the current speed because of the wind. But we do have a little bit of flow. And so that will help disperse our scent a little bit. But the main thing with trolling into the current and into the wind is just speed control. That's going to help us to be able to control the kayak better, maintain our speed better, and present these baits like we want to do, which is most of the time when I'm dragging, I like about 1/2 mile an hour, especially at these deeper depths. If I'm fishing shallower, I don't mind, and especially in the summertime when the water's real hot, I don't mind going a little faster. But when I'm fishing deeper, I want to go slower. And so we'll start 1/2 mile an hour. If we're seeing fish on the graph and we're not getting bit, then we'll know, well, we're already getting bit like that. Oh, he dropped it. Well, that's a good sign. We've already got a bite, although y'all botched it and you didn't stay hooked up. Good job losing that fish. You done lost. Let me handle the next fish, just so we go ahead and get on the board. If y'all can't keep them buttoned up, I'll just go ahead and handle business myself here. But, well, that's a good sign. We're already getting bit. I was going to say, if we're not getting bit, if we're seeing fish on the graph and we're just not getting bit, well, then maybe we start tinkering with speed. Maybe we tinker with the size of the baits, the cut of the bait, stuff like that. But I want to drag a head in a chunk or drag a couple heads first thing this morning here, right here at sunrise, see if we got some feeding activity going on. You could have talked me out of even suspending at all today, but I thought, what the heck, we got plenty of bait. Let's go ahead and at least suspend one here to start with. I just haven't been doing very well on the suspended baits lately. I don't know why that is, but lately I have had a couple days where my better fish came on the suspended bait, but the bulk of the fish came on dragging baits. And when I say the bulk of it, I mean, it ain't even been close. Like, it's been way more fish dragging than suspending. So you could have talked me out of suspending at all today, But I'm in this kayak which has the motor. We can let it drive for us essentially. And so might as well throw one out. If we get bit on it, awesome. If we don't, no big loss. We've still got our other two. Oh, oh, I say that, and there we go. There we go on the suspended rod, just like that. Oh, that's a nice fish. That's a nice. Oh my gosh, and he just let go. Y'all botched another one. I just was talking about how the suspending rod ain't doing diddly for us. And that fish come up and nailed it. Let's see what our bait looks like here. He didn't. Looks good. I don't know how y'all messed that up. I don't know. That's 2 fish in a row now that's bit, and y'all couldn't keep them hooked up. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you today. You need to wake up or something, and y'all still sleepy and groggy, I reckon, here. That sunrise that we just watched, probably one of the first ones y'all have seen in months. Dadgummit. Y'all listen, I'm getting the next fish, all right? I'm gonna handle the next one. Y'all done botched 2 of them now. I gotta get me some better fishing partners out here. Somebody can actually land a fish. I hope we land a few days. That's a good sign. I mean, it's not a good sign we're missing fish, but we're 15, 16 minutes in here and already got 2 bites, so. I just feel like there's going to be an opportunity today to potentially run into some fish kind of out here on this ledge that are maybe just retreating out here, and then they're going up into these creeks and the backwaters to feed, and then pulling back out here just to kind of hang out, the deeper water sanctuary, right? And so I feel like if we can get baits in front of those fish's faces, we're going to have an opportunity. The backwaters, man, I launched in this creek back here, and there is a ton of bait fish back there, ton of shad. Now there usually is, but it seems like significantly more right now. That's what it seems like. I think the shad from the shad spawn we had a couple months ago, they're finally getting larger size, and so they're growing up. They're ready to be eaten, but they're all back there schooling up and everything, and it's a lot of food out there. There's a lot of food out here too. I mean, we've seen some fish there on the graph, some schools of fish right up here. I mean, I'll show you here on the graph. Right up there is a school of shad, and up near the surface there's some more that you'll see kind of intermittently on the screen there. So there's a lot of food in the area. Right there's a catfish, probably by our suspended bait there again. We'll see if he wants to come up and do anything, but you know, we're just gonna cover water. That's the thing you got to do when you're doing this style of fishing, is just get out and cover water. We fished today a mile and a half, 2 miles of this. We're gonna run into something, folks. We're gonna run into something that's gonna stay buttoned up for us. I'd have liked to have got them other 2 that y'all lost, but you know, that's fine. It's not gonna break us at the end of the day, because we're still gonna get our fish. I want to get a big one today too. It's the time of year where you should start getting some more flatheads. But I've only got 1 flathead here recently. And I actually surprisingly got it on the dragging rig, which I hardly ever catch a flathead anyway while dragging. It's almost always blues. I've caught a handful of flatheads through the years dragging, probably single digits, you know, less than 10 total flatheads dragging. And I think I know 1 striper for sure, like an accidental striper catch on a dragging rig. What's going on here? I think we got one after. That's our head bait there, so he's He's gonna need to do better than that if he wants to get it. I know for sure I got one accidental striper a few years ago dragging. But mostly, when you're dragging along, you're looking for blues. Now, that suspended bait, if you told me, if you could go into the future and take a look at what we've caught today, and you come back in time and made me a bet, and you said, Justin, we caught 2 flatheads, 3 flatheads, however many, and you wanted to bet me on which rigs I thought would catch those flatheads, I'd take the bet that the flatheads were caught on that suspend rig, all of them. That's what I'd bet. Just, and I don't know why that is. I don't know why I can't catch them dragging. I catch them on the suspend rigs while I'm moving. You know, most of the flatheads I've caught through the years have been while anchored or spot locked if I'm in this kayak and I'm just sitting there. Whether I'm sitting there with suspended baits or I'm sitting there and I've got baits cast out on bottom. That's when I get the flatheads, usually. But I don't know why you can't get them, or why I don't. I don't know about other people. I don't know why I don't get them dragging. It's incredibly frustrating. One of the reasons why I added the flies to the dragging rigs this year. Now, I've been using the flies on the suspend rigs for a couple years now. I've caught a bunch of extra fish with those. I got a comment the other day. I guess it was a new viewer. He had commented on one of the videos and wanted to know, what's the purpose of having that fly on these rigs? I'm like, well, my first thought was, what a stupid question. But then I was like, well, maybe it's just new and don't really know. But it's like, well, it's there to catch fish. Now, I know that may seem silly, catching a catfish on an artificial bait dangling under cut bait, but by gosh, my regular viewers here, you know how many I've caught the last couple of years on them daggone flies. They're very helpful. But I had been resistant on putting those flies on the dragging rigs because in my mind, I had just thought, you got that fly dragging further behind, you go through some brush, it's just going to be snag city. You're just going to be, it's one more hook back there to catch something besides fish. You know what I mean? Like it's just going to be, it's going to cause more problems than it's worth. So I had held off on trying it. But this year is back in winter, early spring time period. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just put it on there and see what happens. If we get snagged, we get snagged. But I'm going to try it because if it works out, and maybe I've got a smaller profile bait that looks like it's swimming behind a piece of cut bait. Like a vulnerable, smaller fish that's just trying to get an easy meal off that cut bait, take a bite or something. And we pull it by a flathead, maybe it'll snatch that fly up. That was my thought. That was the number one reason that really prompted me to take the plunge and try the flies on the dragging rigs. And I'll tell you, so far this year, I've caught some extra fish on the flies, on the dragging rigs. Hell, there was one trip we were dragging here recently. It would have been a recent video here. I think I got like 3 or 4 fish on the dang fly dragging. So it catches extra fish dragging like it does when you're suspending. But you know how many flatheads I've caught on that fly while dragging? 0. My number one reason for wanting to do it and wanting to try it out is that experiment's been a complete bust. So fortunately though, the polypositive side of things, you know, I try to be an optimist even though I'm an eternal pessimist. Oh, fish. Oh, now we got one up here on the suspended one. The dragging one come free. Let's see if y'all can keep this one. I'm gonna give you one more chance at this one right here, folks. One more chance here to actually land a fish. Y'all looking right at, get your sunglasses on. You looking into the sun over there. The dragging rod got hit, but then the suspended rod went down. Well, this ain't gonna be as big as the first one that hit it and coming undone. I think we're gonna have a dinkity-doo-dah here. Oh, now our dragging rig's. Now, okay, let's set this in back. Set your dink back right there. And pick up on your dragging rod. All right, y'all did a good job with that front one up there. You finally landed one. I'm proud of you. There's hope for you yet. That tells me you're coachable. This one here on the dragging rig, I think will be a smidge bigger than the one up front. Well, we've gone through some fish apparently, y'all. Where are we at on the time period here? 20-something minutes in. We've had several bites in the first 20 minutes. I know we ain't been successful on the landing portion, but we're at least getting the bites. We're getting some, our baits are getting attention. Yep, another blue. Let's get him up here. I'll tell you what I'd like to do actually is land the one in our hand here first on the dragging rig. That way we can get this line going back out while we fool with the one on the suspended bait. Try to work efficiently here. Trying to maximize our time, especially right here at first of the trip, right here at sunrise. Yeah, it's a larger dink, smaller fun size. Call him what you want. Okay. Let's hold him out like that there. Try to give him the light a little bit. Larger dink, we'll call him. He's upset with me is what he is. He'll calling him a damn dink. Oh, rod over here got hit. Yeah, I want to get before we land the one on the suspended rod, y'all, let's get us another piece. I tell you what, they hit that white bass head there up front. Let's put a piece of white bass on this dragging rig because it's a lot more tougher bait than the skipjack. So if we're getting hit down through here and they ain't hooking up, at least it won't be destroying our baits. Them small fish can really tear up some skipjack in a hurry. But the white bass is just, it's harder for them to rip it off the hook and chew it up and stuff. So we'll just stick that on there. I want to get it going back out while we land your other fish up here. The more efficiently you can work while you're on the water, the more fish you're going to get. I know that may seem silly, but over the course of the season, those extra minutes that you have baits in the water, those minutes, they add up to hours, which adds up to days. And over the course of time, man, it's statistically impossible for you to not get more fish the more time you got baits in the water on good structure. And I'm about to run us up on this ledge here while I ain't paying attention. But the more time you can have baits in the water, the more fish you're gonna catch. That's just how it is. And so, oh Lord, he got me all, oh hell, look at here. He's knocked our bait off, but he ate the fly. I was just talking about them flies, and I'll be doggone if this one didn't eat one. You could have not knocked our bait off though, fish. Come up here. He actually got that fly. Can't tell if it's in the side or maybe it just ripped. Maybe been in the side of the mouth there. Why don't you get on out of here then, fish? I ain't giving you a bunch of camera time when you done knock that bait off. One of his friends down there done ate that bait, folks. I guarantee it. I guarantee they did. He gets y'all soaking wet. He did. He got water all over the camera lens. There you go. You beautiful again. Okay. What do we want to put on? Let's put a skipjack chunk on that suspended rig. Right fast. Put that on there. Yeah, I ate the fly. So if the person that asked in a recent video why you use the fly, if they're watching, well, that's why. Because they catch fish. Look, they ain't it's not a decoration, you know. It's not like putting a plastic flamingo out in your front yard or something like some people do. Or one of them, what's the thing now that everybody's doing? The gnomes? Do they still do the gnomes? The little troll people out in their yards and their gardens and stuff. It seemed like that was popular for a minute. I don't know if they still do that or not. Oh, y'all let me forget to flip the bell over on that rod that we was letting out. Here I am trying to work efficiently, and you didn't let me forget to flip that bell over. Cutting board. Oh, I want to reel in some of this line here. Hell, we done let out half the spool on this daggone dragging rig here because y'all can't remember to do nothing. You could have at least reminded me to do it. You just sat there and watched me try to make a fool of myself, didn't you? That's what you did. You was going to sit there and just let me make a fool of myself when we let out all that line. And we looked back and they went, oh, okay. Something's after that head. Y'all leave that head alone down there, fish. If you ain't gonna eat it, leave it be. I don't want it all chewed up. But we're having a hard time with this wind. I'm gonna try to get us going back this way. I'll show you why we're having a hard time with the wind. I want to go this way, right? I want to go up this ledge, right on the edge of it. The wind, though, is blowing at an angle. It's downstream, but it's at an angle. And so I'm having a hard time keeping us over there where I want to be without getting up on the ledge. I definitely don't want to be, I definitely don't want to be up on it, you know what I mean? Like, getting up there, and that's when you're going to start getting hung and snagged and stuff like that. If you can keep yourself kind of on that bottom edge, you'll be pulling through just easy peasy. That's one thing I think I was trying to say there when that fish hit and interrupted my train of thought, but the flies on the dragging rigs, surprisingly, have not been getting snags. Well, I get snagged occasionally. This fish needs to get snagged in the mouth. But I get snagged occasionally when I'm dragging. Maybe have to go back and get the rig. I actually broke one off. I think it was the last trip or the trip before. I had to break off. First dragging rig I've lost in quite a while. But the flies haven't been an issue as far as getting them snagged up and stuff. Like they've pulled through the cover and everything surprisingly well. So that fear that I had that kept me from trying it way back when it turned out to be silly. Didn't amount to anything. But the main reason for trying them on the dragging rigs was to try to hopefully get some flatheads, and that has not panned out. And we're late enough. I've done it enough this year with the flies that I've really, I don't think it's going to work out catching flatheads on them dragging rigs any more than a normal rig. It does help with the blues. We are getting more blues with the flies. Now, I take that back. I did catch there was one day my biggest fish of the trip was caught on the fly on a dragging rig. I was going to say the quality of the fish on the flies on the dragging rigs hasn't really I mean, it's a smaller profile, right? Like the flies are very small. So what you're wanting is basically having a couple different bait options on that rig, whether it's the cut bait and then the smaller fly, and a couple different size options, because most of the time I'm using cut bait that's, you know, around the size of the palm of my hand, give or take, and so that fly is significantly smaller. So if you got a day where fish are reluctant to bite, or you know, weather phase, water conditions, whatever, maybe they just want a smaller bait that day, it's an option for them. So, you know, you've got a cut, but most of the fish, because it is a smaller size bait and a smaller hook, you are going to catch more dinks with it on average. Like the average size fish on that fly is going to be much smaller than the average size fish that hits your larger piece of cut bait with a 10-aught size hook. But I have, on these suspend rigs, man, I have caught some really big fish, both blues and flatheads, on those flies. In fact, I'm pretty sure my biggest fish of the year so far, I hope to beat it at some point here in the last 2 or 3 months of the year, but I think it was caught back in February or March. I got it. Can't remember what the month was, but I got it on a fly while suspended. I was anchored down or spot locked in a creek mouth, and if memory serves me, I think I was around 70 feet deep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pretty deep down there. I don't fish that area much. I've only fished it 2 or 3 times in my life. But that day, man, right place, right time, huge fish, got it on the fly. So I've developed a lot of confidence in the flies. And so, I mean, I just keep rolling with it. The dragging rigs, I don't have any more, I need to tie some more up, but my suspend rigs, like all the suspend rigs I have now that I pre-tied from last winter and stuff, and whenever I redo it, like they all have the flies. I've still got a bunch of dragging rigs that I have tied during I won't say the off season, because there really is no off season for a catfisherman, but you know, when the weather's bad, cold, rainy winter days, not out on the water, I'll sometimes just take a couple hours and tie up rigs. That way I don't have to spend time doing it middle of the year or summertime when I'm fishing more. And so I've got a bunch of dragging rigs that's already pre-tied that we're going to work through. But when I tie the next batch, they'll have some flies on. There's another school, 2 schools of bait fish you can see right there. Those are real tight together, so nothing's up there chasing, busting up or anything, but we've got there's some fish down there near bottom. They're kind of probably just following those schools of shad, hanging out there under it. We're just looking to run into those fish that's just out here on this ledge, just hanging out. We're going to have to end up switching out this head bait. It got nipped on again. Like it's going to be chewed to pieces in no time if they don't quit hitting it. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that not only that we caught that fish on the suspended rod, but that we had that other takedown on it, because the water out here it's choppy enough. And I know sometimes on these videos, it's hard when you look at the video. And I've noticed this when I've edited in the past. I'm like, man, the water was beating me to death that day. And then I get home to edit the video, and it's like, boy, it looks calm. You know, like it don't show and it's because of these action cameras. They have that motion stabilization feature in them, which helps it helps the viewing experience. This one's got it, buddy. This one's got it. Oh my gosh, y'all lost another one. Let's just reel this thing in. Let's take a look at it. This thing's been hit so many times, hell, it may be foul hooked down there or something. Either way, we need to check it and see. Just make sure it's in decent enough condition. If not, we'll switch it out. Yeah, they foul hooked. They've hit it so many damn times. They foul hooked the bait, and we need to switch it out anyway, because look at it. They've chewed that thing. Daggone dinks. All right. We got more. What do y'all want to try, a white bass or a skipjack? I guess we're going to get whatever I grab here first. Looks like skipjack. Yeah, we'll put another big head on that one. Yeah, I think I ended up getting, I don't know, it was probably 50-50. I had caught more skipjack than white bass yesterday initially, but then I switched over and did some ultralight fishing, and I got 2 or 3 more white bass after that, and so that kind of helped even out the numbers a little bit. There goes your rig, your dragon rig back out. Let's see if you can land the next one. You done missed so many fish today, I ain't got too much confidence in you. I thought you was coachable, but you apparently don't learn from your mistakes. But, as I was saying, these action cameras have a motion stabilization feature that makes for a better viewing experience. It keeps the footage from being so shaky when you're moving around or bouncing around like we are today. But the downside of that is that on video, it don't necessarily, when you're in choppy water, it ain't going to look as choppy as it actually is. But it's choppy enough out here that I'm surprised we were getting bit on the suspended rod, because those are just up and down, up and down. The dragging rigs are far enough behind us that it's at least pulling through the water a little bit more smoothly as the front of the kayak bounces. Just my experience, and this is just what I've dealt with through the years. When you've got real choppy conditions, it's hard to get bit suspended. You'll catch fish, but like you're not going to typically get as many as what you would under calmer conditions. There's just something about that bait bouncing up and down. And I've noticed that too. That's one of the things I've learned since I got this live scope that I can't operate. Is when, and there's been times, let's flip this bell over here. There's been times when I'll see fish coming up to my baits and they're not eating for whatever reason. Or they're coming up and they're nipping, but they're not committing. There's been times where I'll try to do stuff with my rods, and I've tried everything, man. If I got a fish sitting there looking at it but won't take it, I'll sit there. I've tried like hitting my rod, smacking it, like giving it a little jolt. I've tried like popping my line. I've tried raising the rod up and down, and what typically happens is if that fish is hesitant to bite and you do anything erratic, any big movement with that bait, he's gone. He bolts. And so I think that's kind of what happens. That's, at least in my mind, that's how I rationalize what happens with these suspend rigs on choppy days. You get fish coming up, they're interested in the bait, and then the waves have you bouncing around and they spook. So it's not 100%. I mean, like I've caught fish in choppy conditions on suspend rigs, but it's usually I'm not getting as many fish, and yeah, I mean, that's just the best way I can describe it. It's just, to me, it's not the best technique to be using on a day where you've got real choppy conditions. But I'm hoping that this wind will die down a little bit. I mean, Windfinder's not calling for any major wind today. It is light and even the weather report said light and variable. And this, I mean, and listen, this wind out here, it's not super bad or anything. I mean, it's manageable what we're doing here, but it ain't light and variable. I'll tell you that. It's probably 10 miles an hour if I was guesstimating. It's closer to 10 than it is to 1 that Windfinder was saying. So, I don't know. I don't know what's up. And it looks like, you look up there at the clouds, hell, it looks like it could start raining anytime. It ain't supposed to rain at all today. Like 0% is what the weather report says. So I hope that's accurate, because I ain't brought no rain jacket, umbrella, nothing with us. It's going to be hot today, so it won't matter. You know, I ain't going to freeze to death or nothing. But still, I don't necessarily want to get wet. I just want to catch some fish, man. That's what I'll come out here wanting to do today, catch some fish. I've honestly, if I'm being 100% truthful with you, I've kind of lately been just a little bit burnt out on the catfishing. Not so much the catfishing itself, not so much getting out and doing this, because I enjoy this, but the grind to be able to catch bait, to be able to come out and catfish. I've had to spend so much time going after bait lately and just trying and failing at so many places because it's been so difficult to locate with any consistency that I've just kind of been like, man, when I go out, I just want to catch fish, you know? And so I've been doing some carp fishing and playing with some baits and some rigs this summer. And every time I go out carp fishing, the bait is obviously very easy because it's grocery store type stuff, or I've been using soybean meal lately, which I bought a 50-pound bag of, so it's readily available anytime I'm ready to fish. And it's nice to just be able to, I want to go fishing, say I want to go fishing for carp. I go in my spare bedroom where I've got I got a shelf in there with like a bunch of groceries. It looks like a damn grocery store in that daggone spare bedroom because ain't nothing in it but a shelf. And I've got one row of panko, I've got another row of corn, another row of Jello. Like I got everything I need in there to mix up some carp bait. But it's nice to just be able to go in there the night before I'm gonna go fishing, grab what I need, and I'm ready to go in the next morning. Whereas catfish, I gotta go out, try to get bait. If that don't work, I gotta go hit another spot. If that don't work, gotta hit another spot. And it's like, you know, it just, the grind of it, I've just been kind of burnt out, I think. Not on the catfishing part, but just the trying to get bait so I can go catfishing. Because I've spent so much time trying to get bait, it's taken away from other stuff I want to do, like the carp fishing, like actually getting to go catfishing, like ultralight fishing. It's just taken an incredible amount of time this summer because best I can figure, I just suck at catching bait anymore. That's the only thing I can figure. The places that I used to get bait consistently haven't produced this summer. I don't know why, but they haven't. And those fish didn't. I mean, it'd be one thing if I hadn't caught them all year. And then maybe you start saying, well, maybe something happened to them. Maybe there was a fish kill. Maybe they had a couple bad spawning years and we don't have the adult skipjack. You know, you could make a lot of excuses if I hadn't caught a bunch of them in the spring. But I did catch a bunch of them in the spring. They were easy to get on their spawning run. So I know there was a bunch of fish there that was making their way back downriver afterwards. And they just have eluded me. They haven't been where I've historically got them. And so I guess I just suck. Man, I guess I just suck at fishing. I mean, you know, that's what people in the comment box have been telling me for years, so maybe they're right. God, I had a guy the other day in the comment box. This guy. It was on one of my carp videos. I should probably save this story for the next carp trip, but I'll go ahead and tell you anyway. I may forget about it before the next carp trip, and undoubtedly there'll be more people to talk about before then anyway. I'm gonna kick back here and relax a little bit too while we're kind of in a little lull here between fish. Hopefully, it seemed like we were going through some, and even though we wasn't reeling them in, we were getting bites, you know, we were getting taps. And now we've went through a little dead stretch. Hopefully as we get up here to these next creeks coming in, hopefully we're gonna see some more. But we're still 49 feet here. Again, the depth through here is pretty consistent. I'm not having to do a lot of tinkering with that suspended line, which is nice. You know, and I may let out a little more line on these dragon rods just because of the choppiness on the water. Letting out more line will smooth it out a little more. That's one trick, one little tip you'll give you there. Choppy day, just let out more line, and I don't like running them real far behind me, but you gotta do what you gotta do. If this wind ain't gonna let up, if it's gonna stay choppy, I'd rather have our baits looking good when they go through. But yeah, this guy, I'm always amazed when I go into the comment box and somebody has written an essay. And it don't matter to me if it's like, most of the time when they write an essay, they're blasting me. Like they're, you know, I'm the biggest idiot in the world. They know everything. They're right. I'm wrong. Yada, yada. Occasionally, I'll get an essay written by somebody that actually likes me. But I'm always amazed, regardless, that somebody's going to take the time to write an essay in the comment box. I mean, it is called the comment box, not a thesis box or an essay box, you know, a dissertation box, whatever the hell you want to call it. And there's some people that have written daggone college dissertations in my comment box. It's amazing how much time they put into these things. But I had a guy the other day, he commented on a carp video. I don't remember the screen name or anything, because I think it was like a bunch of letters and numbers and stuff. It wasn't really anything coherent. But he wrote out, and it was actually his essay, I don't write, I hardly comment on anybody's YouTube videos. But if I was to comment, it would be 1 or 2 lines. Like I don't write essays, so I don't know if there's like a maximum number of characters that you can have in a comment box. Like how many, like, is there a cap on the size of the comment? I don't know. Could you just sit there and type out a novel and it just keep going and going? I don't know. Surely it would time out eventually. But this guy, he had left 3 comments, all of which were essay form. All of which beating home the same point that I don't know a damn thing. He's an expert. I'm doing everything wrong. And my favorite part of it, and I love it when this happens, because, you know, I'm the idiot. What I'm doing ain't never going to work. You know, every video I post, I'm catching fish. And I ain't trying to toot my own horn or anything. Like I don't think I'm God's gift of fishing or nothing like that. There's a hell of a lot more people in this world that's better fishermen than I am. that catch bigger fish than I do more regularly. Like, I get it. Like, if you ranked every cat fisherman in the state of Tennessee, I probably wouldn't be top 100, you know? And if you rank all the carp fishermen throughout the world, I ain't making the list at all. You know, I understand that. But I am fairly consistent with my catches. Like, when I go out on the water, most days I'm going to get bit. Like, what I do, it may not always be the best thing to do. It may not be the most efficient way or the best technique that particular day. And it may not be how you, the person watching this video right now, would do it, but usually what I do works, and it works well. And I always love it when I've posted a video and I've caught fish, I've maybe caught big fish, and somebody lectures me on all the crap I'm doing wrong. And I'm like, I just wanna, you can't comment, you can't reply to comments with pictures. Like, you can't put, at least at the time I'm filming this video, you can't put pictures in the YouTube comment box. And I know that frustrates a lot of you out there, because I've had a lot of comments in the past where people want to send me pictures of their fish that they caught and they can't. Personally though, I hope YouTube never changes that to allow pictures, because what's going to happen is you're going to have these spammers. They're going to be flooding your comment box with pictures of naked women. And listen, I like naked women. I don't mind taking a peek, but it's hard enough keeping these spammers out of my comment box right now with their links. You know, I got people getting mad at me because their kids see stuff in my comment box that's inappropriate. And if YouTube starts allowing pictures in the comment box, as bad as it is now, it will get far worse. That's just, that's just how it is. But if it was possible to do pictures in a comment box, and somebody was just ripping me on there about how bad I suck and how I don't know what I'm doing, what I would like to do is get a screenshot from the video they're commenting on with my biggest fish and just reply with me holding the biggest fish, because like, at the end of the day, it's fishing, man. Like, there's a lot of ways to catch a fish, especially if it's something like catfish. I mean, just think about how many ways catfish are caught. You've got rod and reel, of course, where there's a gazillion different techniques and methods via rod and reel. But then you've got all the redneck stuff too that people catch catfish with. Limb lines, trot lines, jug lines. They put out their commercial gear, catch them in nets, them yo-yo things. Hell, people get out there and grab them with their bare hands while they're spawning and stuff. Like, there's a million different ways to catch a catfish. And for somebody to go into a comment box and lecture somebody in a long-ass essay form that they don't know how to catch a catfish or how to catch a fish when they've caught fish on that video, and it's been proven time and time again that there's a million ways to catch fish. It's just, it's arrogant, I feel like. It's just, these people are trying to present this, they're trying to put out the perception, I guess, that they're better. They're like, look at me, I'm better than everybody. But really, if they were, they wouldn't have to be touting themselves, promoting themselves in a YouTube comment box, right? If they were that damn good, people would be going to them for their knowledge. They wouldn't have to be shoving it down people's throat in a YouTube comment box. That's how I feel. But anyway, this guy, and it was a carp video, and he's lecturing me, man. And my favorite part of this whole essay was that I need to consult with him, because he's a professional pay laker guy, professional pay lake fisherman. And I'm like, You know, I'm out here on public water, man. I'm out here where I'm fishing at today. I'm on Tennessee River, but the back rod here is getting hit. Was getting hit. So, nipped it. You know, out here on Tennessee River, this particular reservoir, you can see how big it is here, just in the view of the camera, but this is just a small fraction of this reservoir. This thing from one dam to the other is 70 miles. 70 miles of the Tennessee River from dam to dam. 70 miles. That's not including all the creeks that flow into it, the other rivers that flow into it here. Just it doesn't take into account the sheer size, the width of the reservoir here. There are a ton of places for fish to hide. And you all know this, blue cats especially, they're gonna roam. They move, like they cover water. Flatheads, you get on some flatheads, like they're gonna be kind of living in that area. But blues are they move. They could be anywhere out through here, up and down these ledges and stuff. So like, there's a lot of places for fish to hide on a big body of water like this. And so when I see one of these damn Pay Lake guys lecturing me on how I should be fishing because this works for them, I'm like, you are in a pond. They call it Pay Lake. These things are the size of a pond, what we would call a pond here in East Tennessee. They're overstocked, meaning there's too many fish for that small body of water. The Pay Lake owners typically put chemicals in there that kind of make these fish aggressive, kind of get them to eat. And I'm like, you're going to tell me like what I should be doing? Really? Really? You're fishing in an overstocked pond where fish are artificially made to eat with the chemicals and crap they put in there. Like, really? But I mean, again, he wrote out about 3 pages worth of stuff between his comments. I mean, if we had transcribed that to paper, it'd be about 3 pages worth. I mean, he just kept writing and writing and writing. And I'm like, I've said it before. Every time I think I've seen and heard the dumbest stuff, somebody's like, hold my beer. Listen to this. Hold my beer. Watch this. You just can't ever get to the limit of stupidity. So, needless to say, I didn't follow up and ask for, his advice on how he's doing stuff in the because I just don't give a damn. I don't have any desire. These Pay Lakes, they're perfectly legal. They're legal establishments. Now, how they obtain their fish to put in the Pay Lakes, that is oftentimes not legal. Oftentimes, especially the Catfish Pay Lakes, they will run their commercial gear in places, well, like out here where we've got limits on. First off, you ain't supposed to be commercial fishing out here because of the contamination and whatnot, but even still, if you want to harvest fish, it's one blue cat or flathead over 34 inches per day. And they'll come set their nets out and take as many as they can get. So that part is illegal, but the process, the actual establishment that they have, they're able to operate because they're legal. But the people who are going to fish those bodies of water, and they get on the comment box and go, I catch trophy catfish. Of course you catch trophy fish every week. Of course you do every time you go out. But it's a different world fishing a 1/4 acre pond where way too many fish are put in there to even sustain life versus getting out here in open water in a reservoir that's got 70 miles of river from one end to the other with all these feeder creeks and feeder rivers coming into it. Like, it's a different world, okay? Like, if it was that damn easy to catch trophy fish in a place like this, people wouldn't be paying money to go to a pay lake. They'd just be coming out in a place like this and doing it for free, right? So, y'all in the comment box, you'll have to forgive me if I don't really give a damn what these pay lake fishermen, the advice they have for me. I just don't. I ain't paying a bit of attention to it, man. You don't give a damn. We'll adjust this bait a little bit. We're up to 47 feet here now. We've went a long spell without getting any attention, y'all. I'm gonna need you to conjure up some fish. I'm gonna need you to do it. Now, another option for us, if you want to, if we go a spell here and ain't getting any more bites, another thing we could do, we could go on the other side over here, get in the old original river channel, and work that ledge. We could do that. I just thought it'd be a little better over here because this is where the creeks come in over here. But so far, it started out, we were getting bit pretty consistently there, even though y'all missed a bunch of fish. We were at least getting bites. We're not even really getting bites right now. I don't know. I guarantee. Oh, here we go. Well, maybe I conjured this one up. Well, just like that, he's gone. Y'all lost another one. I conjured up the bite and y'all botched it. Okay. Let's send it back down. Yeah, I don't know. We'll keep going with it, man. That's fishing. Especially, that's ledge fishing, especially. You're gonna have some dead stretches where there just ain't nothing going on. That's gonna happen. I guarantee you there's a pay laker in my comment box right now that could tell me everything I'm doing wrong. They got all kinds of advice for me on how I can catch more fish. I don't, and here's the other thing I don't understand about people. Well, there's a lot of things I don't understand about people, but just the comment box specifically. They get on there and they're commenting under a screen name. It's not even a real name most of the time. It's a screen name. I have no idea who the hell they are. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they fish. Like, I don't know anything. I think a lot of people on YouTube think they know me because they watch these videos and, you spend a few hours out here with me on one of these unedited trips, you can kind of learn a few things about me. At least my attitude towards certain things in life, whatever it is we're talking about that day. But I think people oftentimes I know this to be fact. You all know me better than I know you, because all I know of you, unless I've met you in person, and I've met several of you in person throughout the years. I probably don't remember your name most likely because I'm terrible with names, but I've met a lot of people that have recognized me and stuff and watched the videos. But when I see a comment and it's somebody with a screen name, don't know their actual name, don't know anything about them, don't know where they fish, how am I supposed to take anything? They could be telling me the gospel. How the hell am I supposed to know? How can I distinguish them from any other random person on the internet that doesn't know a damn thing about anything? I mean, you scroll through Instagram, scroll through, better yet, get on Facebook. I don't encourage anybody to get on Facebook. I hate Zuckerberg, I hate that platform. But if you are on there, go into any of those fishing groups, scroll through the posts. Better yet, click on the comments under the posts and just read. Just read random people's thoughts, their advice. Just read that. There is so much nonsense on there. I mean, you know how hard it is to get reliable, reputable information on the internet from people, from actual, I mean, you can Google stuff, and if you're researching a topic, you can get some good information. Obviously, we've got more information than we've ever had before at the palm of our hand on our cell phones and stuff. But I mean, as far as like individual people giving you good advice on something, it's hard. And it ain't just fishing, it's across the board. Like, there's just a lot of people that are, I don't necessarily say they're idiots, but they try to present themselves in such a way that they want to appear more knowledgeable than what they actually are. And so they will say things and speak from an authoritarian perspective, like they're an expert, when really they don't know a damn thing. And all they're really looking for is just to feed their insecurity. You know, they just want that internal feeling, whatever they get, like, oh, this person respects me, or they think that I know, you know, that's what they get out of it. But really, I don't know a damn thing. And so it's hard to sift through all that stuff and find anything that's reliable information. And that's on a platform in Facebook where you can at least fact check what they're saying. You know, if you're in a fishing group and somebody says, well, I use such and such method and such bait and I catch trophy fish all the time. Well, that's pretty easy to check that, because I can click on their profile and scroll through and take a look at their photos. And if they're holding up a bunch of big fish, well, I'm like, okay, all right, well, this person, they know what the hell they're talking about. But what usually happens is you get on there, and somebody's proclaimed, they're writing out an essay in the comments, you know, lecturing somebody on exactly what they need to do. And you click on that person's profile, and they got about 5 pictures. Biggest fish is maybe 15 pounds, and they've posted that same picture for years, you know, because they're proud of that one fish. But now, because they caught one fish that they consider a trophy, well, now they're an expert, you know, and instead of just saying, well, maybe that was a lucky catch. So you have to really be careful about the information that you take in, as far as taking it. Now, sure, you can read that information and maybe, you know, test it out on your own, but just taking it at face value, very tough to do. And so now you take that fact, the fact that it's so hard to get anybody that knows anything on the internet, and then throw in the fact that now on the YouTube comment box, you can't even fact check anybody because they're using screen names. Just letters and numbers and random words and stuff. Like, you can't even look up who the person actually is to be able to verify that they know what they claim they know. So when I get people telling me information in the comment box and whatnot, like, I don't, you know, if you're being sincere and you actually do know your stuff, like, thanks, you know, I appreciate you being willing to help an old boy out. But I really don't pay much attention to it. I just glance over it and move along. I'm not taking notes on it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, boy, the next time I go out, I got to do what XYZ 3455 told me to. You know, I don't. And I think that just goes back to more. It's just a human nature thing. People want to feel important. And maybe I used to be like that. I think now I'm at a point in my life, maybe it's an age thing. Maybe I've just gotten too old. Or maybe I'm just fairly secure. You know, I've got my circle of friends. I've got my circle of family. I know who I am. You know, I've got my tribe, if you will, and I know my place in that tribe. So maybe I don't need that recognition, or that, maybe I don't seek that oh, you know, I don't know how to try. I think you know what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to word it properly. I don't seek that validation from external sources so much. Maybe that's the way I'm trying to put it. Like, I don't need that. I mean, you know, listen, it's nice when I have random people that I don't know telling me congratulations because I did well in a tournament, or hey, nice fish, or whatever. Like, it's nice. It's nice. It makes you feel good. But like, if I never had that again, I don't think I'd be missing out on anything. Like, I don't need that validation to feel good about myself or for what I've done. Like, it's nice. It's nice. It's a nice bonus to get that. But I don't need that to feel good. I think you know what I'm trying. I don't think I'm doing a good job of explaining it, but I think you know what the point I'm trying to get at. But some people, I think maybe because they are a little insecure, maybe they don't have the best personal life situation, maybe they don't have their tribe per se, that those people do spend a lot of time on social media and they're trying to get that validation, whether it's writing out essays from either what they know or what they think they know. Maybe it's acting out and just being obnoxious. Negative attention, still attention, you know. But either way, they're looking for something. I feel like they're looking for something that they're just not getting. Like this fish here ain't getting that bait. He nipped that head. I want him to leave them head baits alone. Okay, maybe he left it alone. Yeah, I feel like there's something about people that do that they're just missing something. And I hope they find it, because boy, there's got to be more productive things to do with their time. I mean, I look at some of these daggone essays, man, and I can't, when I see a comment, I'm going to assume most of the time it's being typed out on your phone. Because I don't think most people are watching YouTube videos on their computer. Some people do, but when I look at the numbers, like the analytics, because YouTube tracks everything. Google, they monitor our every move. Like, they know everything about us. They know what I'm going to say next before I say it. But you can pull up on like my YouTube analytics, I can pull up and see what percentage of people are watching on what device. So I can see phone versus computer versus tablet versus TV. Computer is tablets is usually the lowest percentage, and then the next one is computer. So I'm going to make the assumption that when people leave me comments, it's on their phone, because they're either watching on their phone and so the comment box is right there, or they're watching on TV and you can't comment on the TV screen. So that tells me they're probably pulling out their phone and commenting while they're watching a video on TV. So I would assume most people, this is assumption, I would assume most people, when they comment, they're using their phone to do so. Which means it takes a while. If you're writing out a novel on there, this fish is going to write out a novel before he eats that bait. I'm about sick of his crap, buddy. Let me pull that thing away from me. Maybe I'll spook him. Leave it alone. They're going to chew that dang head bait up just like they did the last one. But yeah, I mean, if you're writing any comment, I just assume it's been typed out on a phone. And these people that write these novels, man, like, it has to take them an incredible amount of time. Because I can't type a text message out without getting the words wrong. Like, my thumbs on that screen of the iPhone, like, I hit wrong letters and stuff, and it always frustrates me, like if I'm trying to type out I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head here. There's certain words, like I mean to type one thing and then it auto-corrects. And I'm like, no, I wanted that word. So then you got to go back and do it again and then push the button up there for that word to let it know that like that's what you need. So it takes a lot of time to write out anything on text, but especially these people that are writing daggone dissertations on there. I'm like, how much time are they spending to do this? Like, isn't there something better to do with their time? There has to be something more productive, something that would bring them greater enjoyment with their time than like this fish here. He's got something better to do than bite that bait. At least we're getting nipped again. I wish they'd connect to it, but at least we're getting some activity here. We know there's some fish in the area again, at least. Maybe the same fish. I told him to get off that head bait, and he comes over here and gets this one. He's getting me on a technicality. But yeah, there's got to be something more productive that people can do with their time than write out essays to complete strangers. I mean, I got better stuff to do with my time. You know, I don't do a lot, but I got better stuff to do. I do have some stuff to do though. I got some projects coming up this fall. I mentioned I'm gonna be doing a little project on my driveway. I got a stretch of my driveway from where the road is to where the pavement, only part of my driveway is paved. Like whoever done it did a half-ass job. And this is before I bought the place. They paved, there's like 14 feet from the road to where the pavement starts. And then it goes part of the way up the hill and then stops. Okay, I thought he was gonna have it. He did not have it though. He tugged on it a little harder. But anyway, I gotta get out there this fall. What I really want to do is pave the whole daggone driveway, but I haven't gotten any quotes on that, but I've been told that I don't want to get a quote on it because it's going to be way out of my budget. So what I'm going to have to do is get out there and fix the bottom of my driveway where it's washed out, get that leveled back up and do all that. I got to do that. Then I got some good news yesterday. Let me tell you this story. I got some really good news yesterday. So I've talked about in a few videos, this fish is back on it. Why won't he eat that thing and just get it? Pull it away from him a little bit. Maybe he won't chase it down. Dang old fish. But anyhow, I've been, for the last year, really as last fall, I was out there trying to find my pins on my property boundary markers. And I found some of them, but I couldn't find all of them. And specifically on one side of my property, I have not been able to locate the damn pins. And it's all grown up. It's brush and everything over there. It's real thick. I mean, I'm talking like kudzu, blackberry bushes, briars, you know, like it's a mess to get through. And there's been a pin over there somewhere, and I just ain't been able to find it. Well, my neighbor, I get home yesterday, getting bait. I'm about to walk in my house. Here comes somebody up my driveway. Well, come to find out, it's my neighbor who lives, he's kind of a neighbor. Our the corners of our property, the far end of my property and the far end of his property, our corners touch. But we can't see each other from, he's so far away, like we can't see each other. We're not like next door neighbors. So anyway, you know, I've never spoken to this guy before. I don't know him. I've, back in the day, if you go back in time, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago, when Roscoe, my last dog, when he was a puppy, he would run off sometimes. This is back before I had a fence. And he would run off, and sometimes this guy that came to talk to me yesterday, his kids would bring Roscoe home for me. They were always very polite kids, very well-mannered. And he had a German Shepherd back in the day. And even after I had my fence put up, the German Shepherd would come and Roscoe and his dog would sniff each other through the fence and whatnot. And so I knew of him, but I don't actually know him. But anyway, he come up to my house yesterday, and I guess from his property, he can kind of see my carport, like the top of my carport. And he's wanting to build a carport similar to mine, and so he come up and just asked if he could look at it and kind of get an idea of the size of it and whatnot. And so, you know, I sat out there and talked to him a little bit. And while I was talking to him, I got on, I said, with you and I sharing this corner down here, I said, do you by chance know where that property marker is? Do you know where the pin is at? He's like, yeah, I got it marked down there. I'll take you down there and show you. So by God, I went down there, and sure enough, he's got the pin mark. Now I'm like, man, I've been looking for this thing for over a year, and it's been sitting right here in front of me the whole time. Turns out, y'all, I got lucky with this. Turns out I own way further down through that brush than what I thought. See, I thought I owned to the end of the brush, but come to find out, he's actually, because he's trying to keep that kudzu and stuff spreading onto him, like he's been cutting onto my property for years. He's got it mowed down like real nice in there and stuff. So I had no idea I owned that far forward. And I'm like, holy cow, this is amazing. So now that I found that one, now that I know where that pin is at, and I know because the way the lay of the land is, you've got the corner of the property here, and then it comes across kind of more at an angle up here, and then goes back down this way. It's almost like a V shape, the way between me and him and the other girl the property comes in. And so now I know where this one's at. And I found this other one down here last year. So now all I got to find is this one triangulated in the middle. And so between the two, between having them two pins, I'm pretty sure I can find it. Now it's all overgrown and it's buried under a bunch of leaves, but I'm pretty sure I can find it now. And yeah, so I'm like, this is very productive. What a productive day. So now I found out I own farther down than what I initially thought, which is great. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be able to find another pin. So part of what I'm gonna be doing this fall now is I wanna clear out all that brush between me and him. Now that I know that that's actually, oh, big fish, big fish, big fish. He's taking line, he's taking line. I felt the whole kayak spinning around. I felt the kayak spinning on that one, y'all. He was pulling us back on that chunk of white bass. Boy, it's been a while since we got a fish too, ain't it? Feels like it has been anyway. To be continued on the story. I'm gonna get this fish up here and see what it is. I'm gonna handle this one myself because I know if y'all pick up on this rod, you'd have done lost the fish, you'd have popped off. Y'all managed to lose every fish you've tried to grab hold of today. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. It's like you never went fishing before. You need to read some of them comments down in the comment box from them pale acres and learn how to catch fish. That's what you need to do. They're experts, you know. They tell me all the time, maybe you could learn something from them. Apparently don't learn nothing from me. You know what? I don't think this is, it was a hell of a takedown. And he was pulling some line, but he must have just been hitting it with everything he had going the other way, because he's not going to be a particularly good fish. He ain't as big as some of them others we got there first thing. That's a disappointment. I thought he, with the takedown, I thought he was better than that. I kept thinking maybe he was just swimming at me as I was reeling him in, but he was just, turns out he wasn't that big. Well, it is another bite at least. It's another solid hookup. Come here, blue kitty. Can I get that hook out of you, please and thank you, sir? He's fired up today, buddy. Don't put that hook in me now. He's trying everything in the world to spin around and put that hook in me. I'm gonna jerk that hook out your jaw and send you packing, fish. You ain't gonna get no camera time out of me, buddy. Acting like that, that's all you getting right there. You for dang sure ain't getting no front camera time. You'd think that fish would feel honored and privileged to be on this video, but he wasn't. He'd get water all over you. No, you did good there. He didn't get water onions. Well, let's bust us out another bait. Well, we're drifting off here. I got to get us back on that other side of the ledge. Here's where I need to go. We keep venturing off that brake line. It's hard to, it's super hard to keep us on this brake line as tight as I want to with the wind hitting us at an angle here. Very difficult. Mother Nature ain't done us no favors today. Kind of want to try, let's try this middle section here of skipjack this time. It's a nice good chunk of bait right there. I like that. I like the head baits, and I like the piece right behind the head. Those are just big fish baits for some reason. More so, it seems like when you get beyond the dorsal fin, still catch fish, still get big fish occasionally, but you don't get them as frequently, it seems like, as you do with that front part there. Let's throw that out. Start letting out some line. I think what I want to do now, because that head bait has been hit so many times, I want to reel it in and just take a look at it and see what we're dealing with. If it's chewed up, we're going to need to switch it out. Or it could be foul hook potentially too. You never know. When fish hit it just right, Lord knows it's been nipped enough that maybe it's just barely on the hook, or hook's turned in on the bait. I don't know. We'll find out though. We'll switch it out if need be. It is foul hooked, and it is chewed up. Well, that solves that mystery. Let's get a white bass. Let's put a white bass head on there. We'll have a chunk of skipjack dragon and a white bass head this time. I can get one. There we go. Oh, Mr. White Bass. These things right here, the ones I caught yesterday. Oh no, Ultralight. Man, that was fun. I even had some fun with a channel cat yesterday, y'all. I got a channel cat on my Ultralight that was, he wasn't super big, you know, 3 to 5 pound range probably, but on a Ultralight rod and 2 pound test line, like, it's a battle. I got on some big bluegill over 8 inches too. Like, I had a really good morning out there ultralight fishing. I spent part of the morning trolling and catching skipjack and white bass, and then I started ultralight fishing, and that's when I really got on. I got more white bass with the ultralight than what I did trolling. They seemed like they were tight to the bank yesterday. And skipjack seemed to be more out in the open a little bit. Okay, I think we got, flip our bail over on that rod. You about let me forget that. We'll let out some more on this one, obviously. Our suspended bait ain't been messed with anymore, so we'll leave it be. I'm really, as choppy as it is out here, man, I just don't think we're gonna do anything on that suspended rod, y'all. I really don't. I just think it's two things. One, we haven't been doing very good on the suspended rod lately anyway. We just haven't been catching many fish suspended. But add in that with the fact it's so choppy, and I just don't think we're gonna do any. I'm gonna leave it out, but I don't think we're gonna do any good on it. So I'm not too concerned about keeping that bait super fresh, because it's not getting messed with, and I don't have a great deal of confidence in it right now anyway. The dragging baits, on the other hand, though, like this kind of chop, we can mitigate the chop with dragging, and so I think this is going to be a better play for us right here. But yeah, so fall projects, I'm going to get in there now. Now that I know that I'm confident I own that land, I'm going to get in there and clear out all that brush, because I spend so much money every year spraying, trying to keep that stuff at bay. The kudzu, the blackberry, everything that just keeps creeping over toward the fence. I spray, keep it off. It would be nice if I can get that down there, completely cleared off and down to where he's mowed, and then I can just mow it myself. I think that'll be my fall project. It'll take a while to do it. I mean, it's thick. I'm gonna have to cut and burn and cut and burn. I thought initially, let's go ahead and throw that bail over there. I thought initially what I might do would just be hire somebody, come in with a bobcat, clear it off, ground level, and then take the debris. And I've got some woods on part of my property, and there's like a gully, the way the land is down there. And they could just take that debris, put it down there in that gully. Out of sight, out of mind. Ain't gonna do nothing with that land anyway. It'd be a good place for it. But the problem with doing that is, this is our back rod here, getting hit. Another nipper. They just keep nipping, y'all. Nip, nip, nip. But the problem with putting that debris over in that gully is I'm going to be introducing kudzu to it, because there's kudzu mixed in that brush, and so you're just going to be transplanting kudzu from one place to the next, and it'll take root in no time. That stuff, it's the devil's vine, man. You just can't. It's just unmanageable unless you can mow it down ground level. If it's able to take root and climb, God help you. And it's got me surrounded already. And so what I don't want it doing is getting down there in front of me too. So that kind of eliminates putting that debris down there. So what I'm gonna have to do, and I think this will be the best thing to do, is just clear it off a little bit at a time and burn it as I go. Because TVA come through, I got some power lines on my property, and TVA come through about, it's probably been within the last month. And they sprayed that stuff. So most of it's dead right now. And of course, as we get, fish. We got another one. Oh, he's pulling. All right, folks, we got another one here. This is on the chunk. I hope this was a nice takedown too. I hope this fish is better than the last one. Oh, he swam toward my other line over here. He needs to go the other way. I'm thinking this rod's probably getting hit more because it's closer to that break line. At least best I can keep us on it anyway. This wind has been relentless, like it's not letting up. I don't know if you can see, again, with the motion stabilization, I don't know that you can really tell how choppy it is, but it's fairly choppy. That wind's, it's at least 10 miles an hour. I don't care what the wind finder and weatherman says. Light and variable my ass. It's variable, all right. I'll be about close to this thing now. Yeah, another one about the same size as the last one. Nice takedown and not much else. Another one throwing the bait off. Lucky for you, fish, we got plenty, so I'm not gonna hold it against you. You wanna calm down so I'll get the hook out of you? Thank you. Calm down much quicker than the last one. Very kind of you. Your mother, this fish's mother taught him some manners. Old dinky doodah right there. That's a well-mannered fish. If they could all be like that. And here I am going the wrong way again. Well, I'm trying my best, y'all, to keep us on this break line. Every time, you know, the wind, again, it's pushing me this way. So I get over here cozied up to it and I end up on it and I got to go steer to the left. And then I get, next thing I know, I'm over here in the middle. So I'm having a hard time with control. But we're getting it done nonetheless. It's not my best performance on boat control, but we're making it work. We'll throw out another piece of skipjack on that one. What is that now? Is that 4 fish landed? Numerous bites, 4 landed, I guess. I may have done lost count. How the hell I lose count on such a small number, I don't know, but. Okay. I about missed the cooler when I went to toss that tail back. That'd have been something. Still rocking my new cooler back here. Love this thing. My UT Orange Yeti cooler. The Loy's got this for me. Will and Lynn. It's 48 quart cooler, and my other cooler was 35 quart. So it's, you know, it doesn't seem like, from just a capacity standpoint, that it's that much bigger, but it is. I can store so much more bait in this cooler because of the design. Like, it's taller. And so it just, even though it's not much capacity-wise that much different, with the way I'm able to store bait, it is different. So I can fit so much more in there. I think I've showed this before, but I got it behind my seat. I eliminated my crate because I didn't have room for the crate and the cooler, but the main thing I used my crate for was rod storage. So what I done is I added this three fishing pole holder to the cooler. And so that gave me my rod storage, and then I didn't need the crate at all. So I just got it back here. I like it's got a handle on it here and wheels. So like if I want to go fish off the bank somewhere, I can just roll that thing down there. It's nice. I love it. Thanks again to the Loys. They're awesome. Awesome people. Here I go, we're veering off again. I gotta get us back over here, more to the right. A place like this, you really wanna, brake lines are your friend. So you definitely wanna try to hug those lines if you can. But yeah, fall project for me, I'm gonna work on that brush. And with TVA having sprayed it recently and all that stuff dying off, and of course we're getting here now into summer, it'll still be hot in Tennessee, at least through September, maybe October. It varies per year, but I'd like for it to cool down a little bit more before I start work on it. But I would like to get it done before it starts raining, you know, when it starts getting cooler and damp and stuff. That way I can go ahead and get it burned. That's what I want to do. I want to just work on it a little bit at a time, take out a section of it, pile it up, burn it, do a little more, pile it up, burn it. That way you don't end up having one giant pile that you have to spend all winter trying to burn. I just don't, I'm afraid if I move that, if I take the easy way out and hire somebody come in and just clear it with a machine like a Bobcat or something, I'm afraid I'm gonna end up with kudzu in places that I don't want kudzu. I watched a documentary, this is how big a nerd I am. Let me flip that bell over, y'all about let me forget again. This is how big a nerd I am though, y'all. I watched a YouTube documentary on kudzu, and it was actually pretty fascinating. Come to find out, the guy who made the documentary actually lives in Knoxville. He's from Knoxville. Because when I first heard him talk, I was like, this is one of my people. And I looked up his channel. I done forgot his channel name now, hell far. I could give him a shout out or something here. He don't need my shout out anyway. He's got millions of subscribers. But I saw there in his channel description is from Knoxville. But anyhow, he had done a documentary on kudzu, where it originated from, how it got to the United States, all that. And it was pretty, I learned some stuff. I knew it had come from Asia. And I knew that people had brought it here because it was a source of protein for cattle and farm animals and stuff. And it was also a way to prevent erosion, because the kudzu vines, like, it grows super fast. It'll take over everything. The problem with kudzu is, and the problem with this fish is, he's hooked. Here we go, white bass head. All right. Maybe we're getting back on some fish here, man. We had a lull. We went through a dead stretch there for a while. It felt like forever where we couldn't get a bite. Well, now this is gonna be the third one in a row here pretty quick. We just keep covering water, man. We're just going up through here. We're gonna go into and out of fish. Still waiting on the big one, but at least we're getting bit. I've had some better quality fish lately, man. It's been, since the post-spawn bite started, it's been some better quality fish days. I do think this one here is going to be bigger than the last two. He feels like it anyway. He's not fighting incredibly hard, but just me pulling him, he feels a little bigger. Unless I've got him foul hooked potentially. That's a possibility. If he's foul hooked, I hope y'all lose him off the hook before we see him. That way we can at least think he's bigger. If we see him foul hooked and he turns out to be small, then we'll know. We won't even be able to lie to ourselves. He feels pretty good though. He just ain't, I guess he's saving the energy till he gets up here. Then he'll start thrashing around acting a fool once we try to land him. I just been pulling him at this point. All right, we're getting close here. What do y'all think? We know it's going to be a blue. I think it's going to be a decent fish. I recant my previous statement. I think it's going to be a foul hooked fish that has somehow gotten my other line. Dadgummit. Dadgummit. He managed to get my other line somehow. A foul hooked fish. We got him. Y'all hooked that fish right in the back. That's why he felt bigger. We're pulling him in sideways the whole time. How the hell you all make these messes? I'll never know. There we go. I got rid of him quick. That way, hopefully, we can get this mess undone here before we cause an even bigger mess. I don't know how you all do this stuff. But we got it there. We've got it. We've got it whooped. Goodness gracious. Y'all got to get it together, folks. This one time I'd like for y'all to show up on a fishing trip with me and not cause problems. This is our line here from our other rod that somehow or another, I don't know how you've done it, but you got that other foul hooked fish wrapped up in it. Now I'm having trouble getting it around my other rod. There we go. Lord almighty, y'all. The things you all do. Lord, what's the problem with it now? We got that line going everywhere. There it goes, finally. What a chore that was. Well, let's send this one back out. The bait's still hooked good and everything, since he got foul hooked. My gosh, every time I try to take y'all anywhere, we got problems like that. One of these days, y'all gonna get it together. I've come to the conclusion y'all just try to make me look like a fool on these videos. I'm supposed to portray a professional here, and y'all make me look like an amateur every time we go out. Well, one thing about it, y'all get me extra practice on these tangles, as it seems like every trip y'all getting wrapped up in something I gotta undo. I don't guess we'll count that one since he's hooked in the back. Maybe it's one of them Pay Lake people will educate me on whether or not that counts as a catch. They'll write out about 2 pages on that one. If you'd been using this rig and this bait, you wouldn't have had that happen, Justin. You don't know a damn thing. I can't believe they let you on YouTube. Idiots. But see, anyhow, this kudzu documentary is fascinating. And for those of you, I've talked about kudzu before, but for those of you in other parts of the country or other parts of the world where kudzu doesn't exist, let me just educate you on a little bit about this plant. Because now that I've watched the documentary, I'm pretty much an expert. It was a very interesting documentary. So this plant, it's a vine. and it puts out these giant green leaves, and it grows so fast. Like in the peak summer months, July and August, in our really humid, hot days here in East Tennessee, that plant will grow a foot a day. Literally, the vines will grow a foot a day. It's that fast growing. And it takes over everything. Like, it will climb. If you let it near your house, it will overtake your house. It will climb up trees. And the leaves on the kudzu vines are so big that when it climbs up these trees, it will completely choke it out, because it will be, the tree's leaves won't be able to get any light. It won't be able to compete with the kudzu. And that kudzu, it don't matter how tall the tree is, the kudzu will keep climbing. It'll keep climbing until it gets to the top of it and then spread into the other trees. So it'll just completely choke out all life. And it come to find out, I knew it had come from Asia. It was brought over here, initially at like a World's Fair, and it was marketed as a trellis type thing. Like if you wanted to have a porch with vines growing, it was for like that, like an ornamental type thing. But where it really took off in the United States was because of our government. Let me tell you, don't get me started on the government, but this is how our government ruined the South, basically. Because back in the days when farming, when we actually farmed here in America, now everything comes from Mexico and overseas. Like, we don't do a lot of farm. The only thing we grow in America anymore is corn. That's the only thing we grow in America. Everything else is brought in. But back in the day, it didn't used to be that way. Back in the old days, people in the South actually had farms. They self-sustained. Well, it had problems with the soil back then. The soil wasn't particularly good, had erosion problems, and so kudzu, one of the things that kudzu does well is it helps build your soil, and it helps with erosion and stuff like that. So back in the 30s, the United States government started paying farmers to plant kudzu. And they were paying them, I can't remember, $18 an acre or $180 an acre. I can't remember what the documentary said. It was 18 an acre or 180, I can't remember. But either way, they started paying farmers to plant kudzu, plant their fields with it. And the farmers, of course, back then were happy to take the money. Front rod. That suspended bait got hit. There it goes. There it goes. Oh boy. All right, folks. Choppy conditions or not, the front rod got hit. We'll just catch us one up here, why don't we? It was this rod's turn. It's been this rod's turn. I'll tell you, it's so much more fun to catch a fish on a suspended bait than dragging. If I can catch them suspended, that's what I want to do. The takedowns are better, the fights are more intense. It's because you don't have as much line out. You know, right now we had 40-something feet of line out on this was all, so the takedown's pretty daggone good. That's a little better one right there. This is probably the biggest one, or comparable to the biggest one of the morning. He's still not really front camera worthy, I wouldn't say. It's a smaller fun sizer. I may give him some front camera time just so I can do some front camera today. This may be our segue into some bigger fish. If I give this one some front camera time and he goes down there and tells his friends what a good experience he had, maybe the other fish will start biting and all the big fish will come out wanting to get their picture too. Won't you calm down? Okay, come on in here. You come in here and act like somebody, I'll hold you up in front of the front camera. You don't deserve it, But I'm trying to change our energy here. I want you telling your friends that you got on the front camera on the Kayak Catfish YouTube channel. You think this fish will go tell his friends? I think he will. That's probably about as good as it's got so far today, y'all, to this point. Smaller, fun size, larger dink, you know, you can call it what you want. Quality, just ain't been out here thus far. We just ain't got it going on yet, but we're gonna keep covering water. We're gonna keep looking for them. You go tell your friends you just got on the front camera. You're the luckiest catfish out here today. That fish don't know how good he had it, folks. He has no idea. Well, I'll take it. Another bite, another one on the suspend rig. Let's bait up again. We'll just grab whatever I got here on top is what we'll take. Looks like skipjack. We'll take that. Drop it down. I think that's what we had on there. I'm pretty sure that's what we had on there. Skipjack. So we got dragging right now. We got the white bass head and a skipjack chunk. And then we'll have another, throw that tail out. We'll have another skipjack chunk here suspended. And I'm going to tell you some more about kudzu. I mean, it was a fascinating documentary. This guy did an amazing job with it. If you can make kudzu interesting, you've done something. And this guy done something. But he's got millions of subscribers. I forget his name. But he's got millions of subscribers. Like, his documentaries get a ton of views. But anyhow, so it's kudzu. It'll take over everything. But at the time, they obviously didn't know the potential damages it was going to cause, so they just thought, man, this is just a miracle crop here. It's got all these benefits. It helps build the soil up, improve the soil quality. It's a good protein source and easy, fast-growing food source for farm animals. Like, this is great, yeah. So government starts paying farmers in the South to plant kudzu everywhere. I'm pretty sure it was $180 an acre they were paying. But anyhow, farmers, of course, you know, they need the money. They need the food for their animals. They start taking the government money and they start planting this stuff. And it's planted everywhere. And life is good for a little while because it's being managed. It's in the fields. They got cattle. Everything's eating the kudzu. It's under control. Here's where things go wrong, though. We go to war. And all them farmers that was at home maintaining their farms and the fields and stuff, they go over there, World War II, they're gone. While they're gone, kudzu is just growing uncontrolled. And it starts spreading and spreading and spreading. And again, this stuff, peak season's growing a foot a day. And everywhere it grows, it sends out these shoots, and then it'll put down roots. And it'll send out more shoots and put down roots. And so, and you get some vines. Like last fall, I got on my neighbor's property that I hate, the one that lives right beside me, because he don't maintain his property at all. And the kudzu had grown from his side of the property up. And it was on trees that was on his side, but they're choked out, they're dead. Now, I knew they was gonna take out my fence, and I said, you know, this guy ain't worth a damn, you know, he ain't maintained his property, he ain't gonna do nothing. So I'm gonna walk over, I'm gonna get over there and maintain his property for him. I dare him to say something to me. So I went over there, I trespassed, I admit it. But I went over there on his property and I cut down this damn kudzu from around these bases of these trees. And I kid you not, y'all, and my channel members, if y'all remind me next time, if you give a damn, I'll tell you, I'll show you, because I do some, for my channel members, I do some videos around my house and whatnot. There's still vines that I've cut that I can only cut them off so far up a tree. But I mean, they're that big around. You can barely get your hand around them because they've been there so long. They just keep bigger and stronger and bigger and stronger. But anyway, I got all that cut back off them trees. Them trees are dead still, but at least they don't have them vines growing up more and more every year, just putting more weight on it and pulling down, you know, like the vines do. But yeah, the farmers, they go away, World War II, gone a few years, come back, the entire South is covered in kudzu. It's taken over everything. It's taken over houses, taken over forests, because once it gets in there, you can't do nothing about it, and you can't kill it. Kudzu's unkillable. You can spray it and control it, but you can't get down. It sends them roots down so deep, you shear it off at ground level, it'll just come back up. So the only way, once it's established, the only way to maintain it, because you can't kill it, is just keep it mowed down through either farm animals or, you know, in my situation, just keeping it mowed. So it's a interesting thing, and you know, we can't do anything about it. Like, it just keeps going and going and going. And there's some places, like you drive through East Tennessee, and you go up a couple miles from my house even, and you'll see just an entire hillside choked out with kudzu. It's nothing but kudzu. The few trees that are there, like, it's climbed 30 feet in the air, and it's the devil's vine, man. Like, it kills everything that it comes in contact with. And that stuff's so thick, like, when you've got to get it down ground level and just keep it mowed. When them little baby shoots, where they're real soft, when they shoot up, you got to mow them. Because once that vine, once it gets a little thicker, you can't cut it. You try weed eating, it'll just wrap up your weed eater line. Like, you can't do anything with it. Now, fortunately, what you can do, and this is what I'll be doing this fall, after about the first frost, if kudzu don't like the cold, it can survive the cold winters of East Tennessee, but it don't thrive in cold. And that's why you people that's watching this up north, you don't have a kudzu problem, because it don't do well in that climate. But after about the first frost, the growth will kill back. Like, it'll kind of go dormant, and it'll get more brittle, and that's when you can go in and clear it off. You either can cut it back then, or you burn it. But it's a chore, man. It climbs my fence every year, and it's something else. But this guy, he done a document. I watched the whole thing. This documentary, I think it was 30-something minutes long. And he had interviewed this woman who had wrote a book about it. And that's, you know, it's one thing to do a documentary type video, which this guy, he'd put in some work on it. I mean, he had done his research. Like, he had a lot of pictures and photography and stuff. Like, he had put some time and work into this documentary. But that fails in comparison to how much time it takes to write a book. I mean, y'all know, it takes a long time to write a book. And there's a woman out there that wrote a book on this thing. The Devil's Vine Kudzu. That ain't the name of it. I forget what the name of the book is. But yeah, she wrote a book on the history of kudzu. But what I don't want to do, y'all, is take that kudzu that's over there under the power lines. I fight it back every year. So it goes from that brush over to the neighbor girl in front of me, because she don't maintain anymore either. And there's a barrier where my front driveway is. Like, I got a driveway. I've got two, you know, I've got the driveway that comes at the back of my house there from the other road. I've got fish. He's got it. He got another one. I can catch up with him here. There's that chunk that we sent out. All right, we're getting bit more frequently through here, folks. At least the bite's picking up a little bit. We still need us a big fish. This one here ain't going to be the big one we want. This ain't going to be Big Mama. But it's another bite nonetheless, man. I'm out here to catch fish today. I question whether or not you're out here to catch fish because you've missed so many there, especially early on. But one of us is out here to catch fish, and by gosh, this is a fish. So another step toward accomplishing the mission of the day. This one ain't gonna get no front camera time though. I ain't doing that for him. He ain't gonna be worthy of it. He threw the bait off. You fish, what'd you do that for? He's got that hook. We're gonna bring this one in. He's got this hook going through the bottom lip right there. See how that hook's coming out? Boy, that's just begging to put that thing in my finger. Open up. And don't you dare flop right now, fish. There we go. Get on out of here with yourself, you old tiny thing. Let's see what we got to pull out here now. Let's let's do a piece of white bass this time. Let's do that. Maybe the white bass won't get thrown off the hook. Skipjack's soft, especially in the warmer water, but the white bass is just a tougher bait. Harder for him to do that. Okay. Well, if I can get that thing undone, well, we'll get it together directly here. All right. Don't look at my floor of my kayak, y'all. Every time I go carp fishing, I get that pack bait all over the floor and make a mess, and then it molds. So I've got mold all over the floor of my kayak, in addition to this, the dirt and mud, of course. That up there is some mold. That over there is mold. I'm gonna clean this thing real good here pretty soon. I get my other one. Get this thing cleaned up and get ready to sail. Sail, 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 as Mortimer Duke said in Trading Places movie from the 80s. Very underrated movie, by the way. Trading Places. Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murray. Very underrated movie. Highly recommend if you haven't watched or hadn't watched it in a while. Yeah, we're going to keep making our way up through here. I'm just going to stay the course. We'll keep going. I don't know how much longer I'm going to fish. What time is it now here? Probably go another couple hours. Try to get another mile up through here maybe. Let's see what we run into. At least we're getting bit more frequently now, it seems like. We were getting bit right away. We had the dead stretch, which isn't uncommon. It's not uncommon at all when you're doing this style of fishing, ledge fishing. Because they're just, you know, these fish are roaming. You can go through places where they just ain't there at that time. Don't mean they won't be there at some point, but they ain't there at that point. So we've been fortunate here, been getting a few more bites, but I really want to get a big one today, man. That's what I want. What was I talking about before that fish hit? Was I done with the kudzu? Had I moved on to something else? Hell, I done broke my train of thought. Now I don't remember. Y'all don't give a damn about that kudzu anyway. Yeah, it's a problem though. It's a problem in the South, man. And if you've got it on or near your property, boy, it's a chore. Every year I spend a lot of time and money spraying during the growing season, trying to keep it at bay. And then every fall and winter, I got to go around my property and try to cut it back. I was talking about the neighbor girl. Yeah, so she's kind of let her property go, and that kudzu, it keeps making its way over. But I've got that driveway. I don't use that front driveway at all, but it's there. I maintain it. And it creates a barrier to keep the kudzu on this side, and I can keep it on that side. I'm trying to keep it out of that front woods there in front of me, which is why I don't want to put the debris from that brush, I don't want to move it over, because that kudzu will survive. It's hard to kill it. You chop it up and cut it up and stick it over there, it'll take root. It'll take root in about anything. Hell, I went down, I was down there yesterday talking to that guy that lives over there that we share that corner with. And, we was walking around his property there and mine, and we're kind of, when we were down there, we were kind of right there in front of the neighbor girl's house, kind of. And you could get a look at her house. She's got kudzu climbing up the side of her house because she ain't maintained it. She ain't done nothing with her property in a year. It's completely trashed. She's got kudzu, it's taken over her fence. It's growing up the side of her house. She ain't cleaned her gutters in forever. So she's got trees actually growing in her gutters. I kid you not, like little saplings growing in the gutters. I don't know what she does with her time. Because she's a young, able-bodied girl. Like she's younger than me. She's physically fit. I mean, I see her walking to the other neighbor she's friends with. I see her walking all the time. Like she's physically able. And she used to maintain it. Like she used to get out there and do stuff. But this past year, she's let that property go. Like she's just let it completely get overrun with the kudzu. I mean, it's trashed. But I was there yesterday talking to him. I kept looking around there. I'm like, boy, you just don't want that kudzu. Man, you don't want it getting around your house like that, because it will climb it and take over. It'll get on everything. But it allegedly is good for cattle, good for, farm animals and stuff. It's a high protein, high nutrient food for them. And there's people now, and I honestly can't believe this ain't already been done, but there are people now trying to take kudzu and make stuff with it. Like medicines and foods and stuff like that for human consumption. Now, it's so prevalent, I'm surprised that people haven't been able to figure out a way to monetize it before. Because, let me tell you something. If you could figure out something to do, here's your $1 million potential idea, folks. If you can figure out something to do with kudzu, some product to make, some use for it, aside from just, farm animal food. If you can figure out something with it, holy cow, you have unlimited inventory. Like if all you needed was kudzu to make whatever product you were needing to make, it wouldn't even be that you would have trouble getting inventory. People would pay you to take the inventory. I would pay you to come get the kudzu from my house. So you could get paid by homeowners to come clear kudzu out and then take the kudzu that you're clearing and make your product with it. So, it would be one hell of a business if you could figure out something, some use for it, that people would be willing to pay money for. When people are making medicines and salves and jellies and things like that, like who the hell wants to buy any of that crap, Unless if kudzu cures cancer, sure. But, if it's a tonic of some kind, a snake oil, ain't nobody in their right mind gonna buy that. Somebody might be dumb enough to buy some kudzu jelly at the craft fair or something. Then people at the craft fair, or they got to buy something, so they buy something that's, some weird jelly or some woodworking project they'll never open a can of jelly, ever. They'll never do it. But they've bought it because it was at the craft fair. They had to buy something. But yeah, if you could find a useful product to be made, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, kudzu's been around for 100 years in this country now. Like, if something could be done with it, somebody would have already done it. I don't know that to be true. I mean, that's a common thing that you would think. If something's been around that long, well, somebody else has already thought of every idea possible. I don't know. You never know with it, man. You just... And I'll say this about kudzu. I hate it. It's the devil's vine. I wish I never had to deal with it again. But if you had like a gazebo or what do they call them things? Pergolas? Pergola? Pergola is in my mind, but I don't know if that's the word for it or not. But it's like a porch. It's like a standalone porch or a gazebo. And it'll have 4 corner posts. And instead of having a solid roof over the top of it, it'll just have like boards and have open area where it kind of gives you a little bit of shade, but not much. If you had something like that, and you put you some kudzu around it, and I would not recommend planting kudzu. If you already got kudzu on your property, it's one thing. Do not plant. I do not encourage anybody to plant kudzu. You're going to regret it. But if you had something like that, and you could get that kudzu to climb up and over it, and then obviously keep it cut around it so it couldn't spread, that would look really good, because in the fall, late summer, early fall, right before it dies off, it puts out these really bright purple flowers, and they smell really good. Like it can be pretty at times, but that would be, and that's when they brought it over here for the World's Fair 100 years ago. That's what they were kind of marketing it as. But if you did something like that, it would look good, but I don't know as far as products go. I don't know what it could be used for, but boy, if you come up with something, you would be a gazillionaire in the blink of an eye, and people would be paying you to take the inventory. That's a rare thing, man. Think about that. How many industries out there, how many products, jobs, whatever, the only one I can think of off the top of my head would be bees, honeybees. People will pay these beekeepers. Let's say they get a swarm of honeybees in their attic or garage or something. Oh. He's after it. He's after that piece of white bass, buddy. He nipped it a couple times. The only thing I can think of, though, would be bees. Like, if you get a swarm of honeybees, there are people who will come get those bees. And so a homeowner would pay one of these beekeepers to remove the bees. And then the beekeeper would then take that swarm of honeybees and go put it in a box or whatever the beekeepers do, you know, and be able to get the honey. So they would get paid to take the inventory, and then the inventory would produce honey, which they could then in turn sell, or sell the bees. So that's kind of, you know, that would be kind of a similar industry as the kudzu, if you could create a business where people would pay you to come clear the kudzu, and then you make something with it that could be sold. But there's not too many businesses out there that's like that. And the only one I'm sure there's others, but the only one I can think of off the top of my head is the bees. But that's a hell of an industry to be in, where people pay you to take on inventory that you can then sell. Most any other industry, like, you're going to have to put money up front to buy inventory and then try to sell it for more than you've bought it for. That's typically how businesses work. Except in the new world. Here, boy, I mean, getting on the topic of businesses, hold on, I gotta wipe snot from my nose, and I need to get me a swig of water here, y'all. This wind's blowing in my face all morning here, and it's getting me stopped up. When I get the new kayak, I'm gonna be setting backwards. So a day like today, I'd be fishing off the back of the kayak. This wind would be blowing into my back instead of my face. It'll be one of the perks. But anyway, you know, yesterday was the first time I had ever talked to that neighbor that our properties adjoined down there in the corner. I'd met his kids years ago. Of course, they're grown up now. They're grown up and moved out. But back when they would bring Roscoe home, before I had the fence, like, they were very polite. I always was amazed at how polite and respectful they were. You don't see that with kids these days. And kids today they're just rude. They're rude, they're demanding. No offense to any of y'all out there that have kids, but you know what I'm talking about. Your kids may not be that way, but kids in general, and I'm stereotyping here, even if your kids are well-mannered, well-behaved, I promise you take them to school and you look around at the other kids in their classroom, most of the classroom ain't gonna be like your kids are. You know what I mean? So I ain't calling out your kids individually. I'm just saying as a whole. You know what I'm talking about. And so I was always amazed when this guy's kids would come bring Roscoe back, like, they were always so polite. And anyway, but that was, oh God, I've had that fence now for, I think I had it put up in 2013 or 2014. I got Roscoe in 2012. So, I mean, it's been 12 years since I've seen these kids. So, I mean, they're grown now. They're grown up and moved out and whatnot, living their lives. They're adults. But anyway, I'd never talked to their dad before, the actual owner of that property. And, you know, after we had done the property boundary stuff, looking for that and whatnot, just talking about random stuff in life, he asked me what I do for a living. And I said, well, I'm doing YouTube. And he was like, YouTube? You know, because sometimes I think some people, and when I started doing YouTube, hell, I didn't know people got paid. I didn't know. My channel, I didn't make any money on YouTube for a long time. I didn't know. My channel wasn't even monetized for a long time. I didn't know. And so a lot of people, you know, still don't know. And you mean like, well, you get paid for that? Like, how do you, and that's another one of those businesses of the modern world. Like, how is it possible? I produce really no product here. I mean, just digital video footage, really. And yet can still draw a check from it. But it's daggone marketing, man. It's advertisements that YouTube puts on the videos. Which I'm honestly surprised with seeing how well TikTok has done, paying people virtually nothing. And the fact that people are still on there making content all the time because, well, they want the attention from it. They're insecure. I've talked about this a lot. I mean, they got girls on there. Their whole channel is just, every time they got a fart, they pull out their camera and film themselves farting. Like that's their claim to fame. And they're happy to do it because they get attention from it. But you don't make hardly anything on TikTok unless you just get super big and you start getting brand deals and stuff like that. But just the actual ad revenue that TikTok is going to share with you, it's minimal. Like it's not like YouTube. And so I've been honestly surprised that YouTube has stuck with their business model of split, because I think it's like, don't quote me on this, I think YouTube split, it's like a 55-45 split or a 60-40 split, something like that. Like they split a big portion of the advertising revenue with the content creators. Now, we're not privy to their books, so we kind of have to take their word for it that they actually are splitting the appropriate amount. It's kind of like when I go to the gas station and I put 10 gallons of gas in my vehicle. I'm going to take their word for it that they've put 10 gallons, that pump has put 10 gallons of gas in my car. If they've actually put 9 gallons and 3/4 or whatever in there, and they're skimming a little bit, you know, you skim a little off the top in that situation and you sell gazillions of gallons of gas a year, well, the gas station just made a lot of extra money. Same thing with YouTube. Maybe, you know, I don't have access to their books. I just have to take their word for it. But I've been amazed that they're still under that business model this far into the game, especially seeing a platform like TikTok do so well by paying people virtually nothing. Because I believe this in my soul. I believe if YouTube just tomorrow they change policies and they say we're not paying anybody anything, or they cut our pay by 90%, but they could go all the way to 0. It wouldn't matter. People would still post. I wouldn't. There'd be a lot of people like me that'd be like, well, hell with this. I mean, I don't deny this. You know, if I'm going to give up my fishing spots, my time, if I'm going to take the amount of hate that I do online, like, I'm going to get paid something for it. All right. I don't deny that one bit. Like, I'm going to get paid. All right. I didn't start out getting paid. It was a fun hobby in the beginning. But over the course of time, when that hobby turned into taking up a bunch of my time and turned into a job, and I started taking the flack online, and people started, if I catch a big fish somewhere, people would be pounding those spots as soon as I posted the video. Like, at that point, my ass is getting paid, all right? But I guarantee you, if the business model changed and YouTube just stopped paying, I would say 80% of the channels would still be posting, just because they get that dopamine rush every time they post a video and somebody comments or something. So I'm surprised that YouTube's still paying us anything. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we wake up one day and they just stopped. I hope they don't, but I wouldn't be shocked at all. But what an amazing world we live in, though. If you go back in time, you know, I grew up in the 80s when I was a kid. And I remember when I was a kid, I got to remember a fish right now because we got hit. Well, he didn't hook up. But, you know, when I was a kid, we had 3 channels on a TV set. And even when you got satellite, or I'd go, you know, my grandma's house, and one grandma had 3 channels, had an antenna, and the other grandma had cable. But even when you had more channels, if you wanted to watch fishing content, a fishing program, it was Saturday mornings, and you had Bill Dance and Hank Parker and Roland Martin produced TV shows, and that was your fishing content. And if you had wanted to be a fishing content creator back then, well, you would have had to have done like those guys done. Go make it on the competitive bass fishing tournament scene, rub elbows with the right people in the fishing industry, who could then hook you up with a TV production company. And, you know, you had all these gatekeepers. Like, you had to know somebody to know somebody to know somebody to get a shot at it. And that was like that. I mean, 80s, 90s, really right up to YouTube. When did YouTube start? 2006 or 7, I think it was. Really when social media got going. It was like that my whole life up to that point. And then social media comes along, YouTube comes along, and now all of a sudden, the gatekeepers are all fired. You don't have a gatekeeper anymore. Now anybody with a cell phone and an internet connection can broadcast themselves. You don't need a TV production crew. You don't need a TV company network executive to sign off on you. You put yourself out there. And man, how times have changed. Like, what a world we live in now where you don't, before, to run a successful business, you had to have a product or a service that you could monetize, that you could sell, right? Like, throughout the history of time, you being a business person would have had to have either sold a physical product that you would exchange for money, or you would have sold a service. You would perform a service for somebody and they would pay you money for that service. Nowadays, since YouTube, social media come about, that is not the case anymore. Like, I do not provide any service on this channel. I mean, some of you, I hope you're entertained. I can't believe you're going fishing with me a few hours and you ain't entertained. Maybe you're getting some education if you're wanting to learn how to do something, and I happen to be doing that. Maybe you get some educational value from it. But as far as a product or service, I am really not providing. I mean, yeah, sure, I have some products per se. You can buy my Signature Series rod if you want to. You can buy a t-shirt with my logo or a hat with my logo. Those are products you can buy. But that's not the main, like, this business wasn't built on my signature rod or a hat. Like, those products are really byproducts of the fact that this business has done so well and reached so many people. Because of that, then I'm able to sell some extra products on the side, right? But the actual business itself is just me doing what I love to do and sharing that experience with people. So in this new world that we live in today, and what an amazing, I get pissed off all the time, like, it just, stuff our government does, especially I don't get as passionate and as irate about our federal government as most people do. The talking heads on TV that just spend all their time talking about it. But I'll tell you what does piss me off about government. It's local government. Our city council, our mayor, our county commission, the people, oh, fish, on the suspended rod. Oh, come on, fish. Let me have that thing. I'm going to back off that drag a little bit so I can get a rod out the rod holder. To be continued. Don't let me forget where I left off. We got a fish here we got to deal with first, though. This is another nice take. I'm going to back off that drag a little bit. I mean, I couldn't really get that rod out. And I promise you, this fish ain't going to be big. He's a nice takedown, but he ain't going to be big enough to where I shouldn't be able to get that rod out the rod holder. That's the fun of suspending baits, man. It don't take a big fish to get them massive takedowns. What's going on here? This fish is lassoed 3 ways from Sunday. The stinger is around the line. That's our first problem. When we get this thing undone, he's going to go crazy. Come here, fish. I don't want to bring him in like this. Here's what I'm going to do. He's going to do his splashing around out there in the water, by gosh. He's going to get us soaking wet when I get this constriction around him undone. I'm going to grab the stinger with the pliers and release the tension from that line. And he's gonna come unwrapped. The hook's in the mouth. But when I do this, boy, he's gonna act a fool. There he goes, watch this, watch. Did you see that? He come up, plumb out the water right. I knew that was gonna happen. I knew it was. You just deal with your damn self there, fish. Did you see that? He come flying up out of the water. That dang old fish. There's something about that. When you constrict a catfish, when they get wrapped up in your line, they just go calm. But as soon as that pressure releases, all chaos breaking loose. They just go nuts. I've seen that show. That's a rerun, buddy. I've seen that show hundreds of times. All right, fish, you ought to be done by now. Where you at over here, fish? Come on over here. That's another little larger dink. Hell of a takedown, though. It was an A+ on the takedown. Well, if I can get the dang hook out, I guess I'm gonna need them pliers again. There. All right, y'all, there we go. Another old kitty cat. Thanks for the takedown, fish, and the entertainment. Can't believe he come flying out of the water. Dang fish, buddy, he is fired up. Let's see what we want to put out this time. Let's do another skipjack. Cut another skipjack. They probably need to switch out that head, don't you think? On that other one, we got I think we had a white bass head on the other rod over there, I think. So we'll put a chunk up here up front. We'll reel in that white bass head and put on the skipjack head. Freshen it up a little bit. And I'm gonna tell you about how I hate our local politicians. Bunch of crooks. Line here. Goodness gracious, look at that slime where he was. Look at that mess where he's all wrapped up in it, man. That fish lost a pound of slime. All right, I think we can be ready now to drop this thing back down. Down it goes. Where it stops, 48 feet, we know. I got the line wrapped around everything. Make sure that fly, okay, it's good. All right, down it goes. Let's get this down. And let's reel in our head bait. And we'll be set. I am getting all stopped up here, y'all. I'm getting all nasally. I think it's because this wind's been blowing in my face all morning. I think that's what's caused it. I wasn't snotty when I got out here. Some of you say I'm a snotty human being all the time, but you know what I mean, like literally snotty. I wasn't literally snotty when I got out here. I don't know if this bait's been hit very much, but it's still, well, it's been hit enough to get foul hooked, so glad we reeled it in. Yeah, it's time. Get rid of that. This one here looks much better. It is my favorite bait in the history of all time catfishing. Skipjack head. Yeah, so anyway, you know, I don't get all pissed off about the federal government stuff because it doesn't affect me personally as much as the local government does. The local government's the ones approving all the housing complexes, apartment complexes, subdivisions. They're the reason our traffic is so bad. They're the reasons why the schools are overcrowded, and they're the reason why our property taxes just got raised last month. And so, you know, they're the ones I get pissed off of. But, you know, I get focused on that sometimes. You know, it's just my pessimistic outlook in life in general. But when you really stop and think about things, and I just look at my own life, for instance. Boy, we've really got it good in 2024. I mean, to be able to live in a day and time where you can have a business where you don't have to sell anything or provide a service. You can just do what it is you like. And it don't matter what you like, man. You know, I'm catfishing out of a kayak. Now, that's more mainstream now, but when I started this channel, it was not. I used to get made fun of all the time. Then kayak fishing kind of got more popular and more people wanted to do it and stuff. And you know, but I mean, at the time, it was very just handful of people in the country doing it. So very small niche. But here I am today. And, you know, and again, it don't matter what it is you're into. You can be into something that's just, like this fish is into this bait here. Don't let me forget to turn that bail over on the other rod here as we reel this one in. Y'all let me forget and we'll have all our line going on that reel. That fish there, he said he wasn't waiting on that head bait to get back there to him. He's just going to take this old, I think it's a piece of white bass. I'm pretty sure we had white bass on here. We're getting numbers of fish today. I mean, when we're said and done today, we're going to have caught some fish. Now, whether or not we get our big fish, I don't know. And maybe that's going to be, if we don't, maybe it's going to be my fault. I'm going to blame you, but maybe it is going to be my fault for picking this secondary channel here. Maybe we should have been in the main river channel today. That's where I've been getting our fish, is fishing the main river. But I thought with the way this looked on the map and all these little creeks and stuff feeding in, I thought maybe this is an opportunity here to bust some fish. But I mean, there are fish here. We know that to be fact. We're just not getting, I'm gonna flip that bail over. We're just not getting the quality. At least we're getting one or the other, quantity or quality. Some days you don't get either one. You know, I mean, you don't catch nothing. He's left that bait on. We'll probably go ahead and switch it out though. Fish, I don't know where that hook's coming out at. Will you be calm right there while I take it out? Thank you, sir. This is another one here that's got some manners. This one's mama raised it right. All right, good buddy. I'll hold you up there, give you a little front camera time, or chest camera time. You ain't getting no front camera time. Doggone fish. Well, all right. Let's grab another piece of that white bass, just spruce it up a little bit. He left that other bait on, but I just want to, we got 2 fresh baits on the other rods. Let's just go ahead and put a fresh one on this one too. I'll feel better about it. We got plenty. I hope to get, you know, when I went out bait fishing yesterday, I had hoped to get enough for a couple days, and I do think we've got enough bait for 2 days in the cooler. But weather report for tomorrow ain't looking particularly good. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when I get up in the morning if we're able to fish or not. We probably ain't coming back here. We'll go find another places. Just got as few big fish as what we've experienced here today, but we'll get out and go somewhere tomorrow if weather allows. Put this new piece on. Let's start letting out some line, and we're going to be back in the game. But yeah, you know, I get bogged down sometimes. The pessimist in me just, you know, when our local government does stuff that pisses me off, from the overdevelopment, the increase in taxes, stuff like that, and, you know, you deal with the idiots on the internet and the comment box and people stealing your content and, you know, stuff like that. It brings out the pessimist in me, the negative Nelly, and it's easy to dwell on that stuff. But when you step back from it and you just take a look at life and the opportunities we have now, I mean, from the advancements in technology. You know, healthcare is a big problem in the United States. Like, people don't get adequate care, but yet the technology and the advancements in modern medicine we're living in the best time possible. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a heart attack today, your chances of survival, not only surviving, but living a productive life afterwards, so much better today than what it was 30 years ago. If you get cancer today, your chances of catching it early, your treatment options, so much better today than what it was 50 years ago. Like, we live in an amazing time in this world. And one of the things that I'm most amazed about in my own life is just the people's ability to monetize what it is they like, no matter how small the niche is, whether it's catching catfish from a kayak. You know, I talked about, I think it's last video, it may not have been the bait run yesterday. Maybe it was the carp trip before. But I was talking about that new channel I found that I was just blown away by. It's a G.I. Joe channel. I watched another one of his videos last night. His name's Mike the Hunter, and some numbers after. Don't ask me the number. I don't know why he's got the numbers afterwards. I don't know what that's about. But Mike the Hunter, he collects G.I. Joes. Not the old ones that I had when I was a kid, but he collects the new ones. They're $25 a piece. They look amazing, but they're $25 a piece. And he makes movies with his G.I. Joes. Like full-on skits. They've got scripts. He does voiceovers for each of them, sound effects. Like, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing, folks. I mean, I'm hooked on it. I watched another one last night. How many people, you know, when you're talking about a niche of a niche, like, how many people, there's obviously toy collectors out there. People enjoy G.I. Joe, people my age especially, you know, nostalgic purposes, like G.I. Joes. But when you're talking about people who not only like G.I. Joes, but want to make movies with their action figures, like, you're talking about a niche of a handful of people in the world. I mean, it's a handful. I don't know who does it besides this guy, but it can't be many. But yet, he can take his hobby, something that he loves doing, and turn it into a business. And it's like that, the fact that we have that ability in 2024 to take something, whatever it is you love doing. It doesn't matter what it is. Just, you know, film yourself, I'm all nasally here, y'all. I'm snotting. Bear with me. It's this damn wind blowing in my face. And the wind actually seems to be slacking off a little bit now. Well, here it comes again as I say that. It ain't near as choppy right now as what it was there an hour ago. But, I mean, pick your hobby, whatever it is you like. If you're just willing to film yourself and share that experience, share that knowledge with others, there is an opportunity for you to monetize that and make that a business. Where at the very least, like, you know, even if your channel, even if you're not the next Mr. Beast or next Guggen or whatever, you know, that's okay. There's an audience for everybody. There's not necessarily a big audience for everybody. But even if you don't make it big and famous, whatever, who cares? You're still, you're going to gain a community of like-minded people, because the people that find your videos, especially early on, are going to be the people who are searching for the type of content that you're making. So it's going to be like-minded individuals in the beginning. So you're going to make new friends and find a community of people that share the same interest as you. And then, you know, maybe you start making a few bucks and you're considered a legit business. Well, then the stuff you buy, whether you're collecting something and it's a hobby, or just supplies you need to do whatever hobby it is that you do, those become business expenses. And so, you know, you still got to buy these things. It's still coming money out of your pocket, but it's coming off your income at the end of the year. So you're getting a little tax break from it. And so, and it's just, I mean, back when I was a kid, like 80s, 90s, hell, even as a teenager, my first job, I've told y'all before, I was at Kmart. I was a cashier. 16 years old. I was making $5.20 an hour. Thought I was rich because I made an extra nickel above minimum wage. It was $5.15 at the time. 16-year-old Justin, who was spending his paychecks buying fishing lures with my 10% discount from Kmart that I got, employee discount, would have never been able to believe, like if you had told 16-year-old me that Justin, in how many years has it been since I was 16? I gotta do some math here. I'm 42 now. 26 years? 26 years since I was 16. But if you had told 16-year-old me, damn, is it really, God almighty, has it been that long? Has it really been? It can't be right. By damn it is, it's 26 years. It's been 26 years since I was 16. Holy cow, I'm old. In my mind, it doesn't feel like it's been that long. I swear it don't. But if you had told me 26 years ago that, Justin, when you're 42, you're going to be out here going fishing, filming yourself doing it, and this is what you do, I would have never in a million years, it didn't. I mean, the internet was around when I was 16, but it was still like dial-up internet, DSL maybe. Like you didn't have cable internet back then. You didn't have YouTube. This would have been 1998 when I was 16. So sure, you had internet, but you didn't have what we have today. You know, and it's just, when you take a step back, and again, I'm bad about, the pessimist in me, like, I'm bad about feeding into negativity. If negativity's around me, I feed into it. That's why I can't have it in my life. If somebody's negative in my life, I get rid of them. I cut them out. Like, I just can't be exposed to it because it's not healthy for me, because I'll feed right in. Like, I mean, it don't take much to reel me into it. And I don't want to be that way. I'm negative enough on my own without having other people bring me into it. And so, and I think most people are kind of like that in a way. It's real, especially with this constant social media and TV barrage of negativity we get hit with every single day. Everybody, negativity sells on TV. Positive stuff don't. So it's real easy to feed into it, and we can get distracted. And I'm guilty as anybody, man. I'm fully admit it. You can get distracted from how good we have it in 2024. But when you step back from the negativity and you really think about technology, the opportunities we have, not just for like business stuff, not just for side hustle money, whatever, just the opportunity we have to learn. You can learn. When I was a kid, if you wanted to learn something, you had two options. At my house anyway, you had two options. You could bust out the Encyclopedia Britannica, which we had almost every letter of the Encyclopedia Britannica when I was a kid. And if it wasn't in there, you better hope the school library had whatever book on whatever topic you was wanting to learn about. Like, that was your options. Books. Encyclopedia Britannica or books. That's how you were going to learn about something. Now, you can get a expert level education by pulling out Google. You're not going to get it on Facebook. Don't go scrolling through Facebook groups looking for quality information. But I mean, if there's something you're trying to learn, you can bust out Google. Learn anything you want. If you need to figure out how to do something. I mean, I'm the least mechanically inclined person you will ever meet. I can't hardly fix anything. But by gosh, if I need to try to fix something, I needed to adjust my headlights the other day. They're shining down too low. I got online and I watched a video on how to do it, and I went out there and adjusted my headlights. Just like that. I get on YouTube, type it in, up pops 15 videos how to do it. I'm like, I can do that, and I go do it. Go back in time, the 80s, early 90s, I'd have had to go somewhere because I wouldn't have had a clue. I wouldn't have known how to done it. You know, and so, like, I mean, we just have so much knowledge and information at our disposal. It's an amazing time we live in some ways. So today's one of those days, for whatever reason, I woke up with the ability to appreciate things a little more than I wake up with some days, where I wake up and just am either in a blah mood or just whatever type of mood, you know. Every day's a little different. You get them people in the damn comment box. Sometimes I'll say something on these videos, and yeah, hell, that's another thing. Like, 16-year-old me would have never believed that that people forget about the views, that anybody would give a damn about me coming fishing with me and just listen to me talk for a few hours. But now I done broke my train of thought on where I was going with that. Hell, I done completely lost it. I was going to make a point, and I got sidetracked on 16-year-old me. It don't matter. I've went on long enough about this. Oh, I was going to talk about the damn people in the comment box. Yeah, so there's times I'll say something on one of these videos, and maybe I'm in a mood that day. Oftentimes, like say a pleasure boat goes by, and I don't like pleasure boats, and they piss me off or something in that moment. You get all these people in that comment box want to tell you how you should think, act, and feel. You know, because maybe they'd handle a situation different, or, you know, maybe they are one of the people, the type of people that you're getting mad at, so now they're personally offended even though they weren't involved. You know, that is. And, you know, and it's like, you take a step back from all of that noise, all that negativity, and just focus on what you got going on in life. And, you know, and again, I fully admit I'm very fortunate, not just from this YouTube crap, but just in life in general. I mean, just to have my health, to be in good health, mentally and physically, although the mental part could be debated. But, you know, be in good physical and mental health, to have my family, my tribe, if you will, family and close friends, and relatively good health right now. Like, you know, that's very fortunate to be in that situation. Not everybody has that going on right now. I mean, if you're watching this, I get a lot of comments from people that come with me on these fishing trips and enjoy coming with me on these fishing trips because they can't get out on their own anymore, whether it's health problems, age, life, you know. So I realize that I'm more fortunate than a lot of people at this point in time in my life. But most people have something good going on, you know, and it's easy to get distracted from it, but for whatever reason today, I'm able to focus in on it. Now, that may not last. Something may piss me off on the way home today and get my train of thought sidetracked, but today's a good day. Y'all hear my belly growling? I'm hungry. I had a banana on the way here. I'd gotten some bananas. Well, that was a big splash up there. I wonder what that was. Is that a paddlefish? I don't know. I wasn't looking, my gaze, I wasn't looking that way in time to see it. I had stopped to get some bananas, though, before that last carp trip because I had wanted to try that mixed in with the pack bait, see if it would bind a little better. And so I'd had some bananas, and so I ate one of them on the way out here this morning, but I'm gonna have to get something on the way home. I don't know what I'm gonna get today. I'm kind of at a point now where nothing sounds good. Like, I hate fast food. I'm just over fast food, man. And I don't eat much fast food anymore, but when I've never just not gotten over it. It's all garbage. And I like to fix myself a steak every day. Because hell, it's cheaper to eat steak than it is to get a crappy combo at a fast food restaurant. You go buy a steak at Aldi for $6 and fix yourself a nice meal for half the price of what a Big Mac combo meal would cost you. And tastes better too. But girlfriend's coming over tonight. And she's already talked me into, last night she talked me into cooking her a steak tonight. So if I'm gonna eat a steak for dinner, I probably shouldn't have a steak for lunch. So I don't know what I'm gonna get. Nothing sounds good. I need something though. God knows y'all ain't gonna pack a lunch for me out here. You could, I mean, you coming out here fishing with me all daggone morning, you could have brought a ham sandwich or something. Not a bologna sandwich. Here's something funny, I'll tell you, and this just popped in my head. I worked with a guy. So initially, my first job there, I was 16, I worked at Kmart. And then I ended up going, I worked there a while, and then I went to Walmart. And I worked in the garden section. And I spent a summer out there. This was back when Walmart actually had people in the lawn and garden area, that if you bought some mulch or some dirt, people would load it into your truck or your car. What a concept that was. God forbid you try to buy something in Walmart now, you can't even find a cashier to ring you up. let alone somebody to help you load something. Times have changed. But this was, you know, late 90s. So anyway, I spent that summer, I worked at Walmart. And there was an old guy I worked with. And I don't remember his name. Hell, he's probably dead by now. But there was a woman, and we worked with her too. And she come out there, and I don't remember the exact details of the conversation, but anyway, she had said something, and he mentioned something about her fixing him something to eat. And she's like, well, I can give you a bologna sandwich. And y'all, if you could have seen his eyes, like, I'm just, you know, I'm not part of the conversation. I'm just sitting there. But his eyes gets this big, and he looks over at me, and he gets red, like all embarrassed and stuff. And, you know, she ends up going on. And he was like, could you believe she just offered me a bologna sandwich? I'm like, what's the big deal? It's a bologna sandwich. He's like, Justin, if a woman offers you a bologna sandwich, she's offering you sex. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I have never heard that in my life prior to that. And I have never heard that in my life since then. But I remember that because and I truly believe this, Shaw. Like, I don't think he was like yanking my chain here. Like, I believe that he believed that she was like making a sexual innuendo toward him by offering him a bologna sandwich. Like, because I was watching the conversation between the two. I saw his reaction. I saw how red he got. Like, he was embarrassed. And of course, you know, I mean, if you'd seen this woman, like, I mean, she wasn't, if she was offered, ain't nobody accepting that bologna sandwich. That bologna sandwich had done rotted, right? Like, that ain't the kind of bologna you want. There's probably some mayonnaise on that bologna. But she was rough. But anyway, like, I truly believe that he believed she had made a sexual innuendo toward him over just a bologna sandwich comment. But I've never heard that before. I've never heard that reference before or since then. But by gosh, he believed it that day. I don't know what just prompted me to think of that, but I've never forgotten it. Whatever happened to that guy. I worked with him that summer there. And then I moved on to other things, and he's probably dead by now. That was so long ago. It was over 20 years ago, over 25 years ago. He was old then, so I'm sure he's dead and gone. But boy, he's convinced, though, she had offered him some tail. Bologna sandwich. I guess I ought to be, you know, these catfish, sometimes I'll tell them, if I catch a skinny one, I'll tell them, like, oh, yo, fish, skinny thing, you need to eat your bologna sandwich. I guess I got to be careful, because some of them fish, they might believe that too. They might think I'm making a advance toward them. Y'all know the old thing with sexual harassment. Every time I'd go to a new job, you got to take them, you know, HR stuff you go through, policies. Later on in my career there as nursing, everything was computerized. You do these computer modules and stuff, and there was all fish. Oh, he let it go. Going through another little dry spell here. We got what looks like a creek. I guess it is a creek because I see the old outline of the channel there coming in up here. I'm hoping we got something up through here maybe, but you all go through this too, whatever your place of employment is, there's always going to be some kind of sexual harassment policy that you're going to have to sign off on, or, you know, acknowledge that you're aware, or whatever, you know. As this rod's getting hit now. He may have it. Nope, he don't now. But the whole thing with sexual harassment is. It's not what you say, it's how the other person interprets it. So even if it's something like a bologna sandwich comment, if that fella thinks that she's offering him something more than a bologna sandwich, well, I guess that's not what you say, it's how it's interpreted. And that's how he interpreted it that day. Why the hell is it, though, that you go to Walmart now and somebody won't load your mulch for you or your dirt? And why can't you get a cashier at Walmart? They're making bukus. If they would take the money, they went all that self-checkout thing so they can eliminate a minimum wage employee at the cash register. But I promise you, more stuff gets stolen through the self-checkout lanes. They lose more money in theft than what it would have taken to just hire more cashiers. Is this fish on? Has he been on the whole time and maybe I just thought he'd come off? I think he's on there now. Maybe he was on there before and I reeled down and thought he'd come off, but maybe he hadn't. Y'all, I'm so nasally. The wind has stopped. Like, it's calm now. It's a different world out here now. But I'm still nasally, I think, from where that wind was blowing in my face. I feel like I've got just entire sinus cavities just full of snot. You know, it's exactly what y'all want to know. Come up here, fish. I want to know if these catfish Walmarts have any cashiers. You can't get a cashier at the local Walmart, that's for sure. They'll have one cashier. 57 checkout lanes, one cashier. I try not to go to Walmart. This one here, folks, is eating the fly. It's a small fish. Very small. He's nipped that head bait, apparently, because it looks like it's been chewed on a little bit. But he got that fly right there in the mouth. So, for the people who comment wondering, what is the fly for? That's why. Catch an extra fish with it. That fish right there probably couldn't have eat that head bait, unless he just happened to get it just right. But you know, this fly here, when you compare it, as that circle hook digs into my finger, when you compare it to the size of the head bait, like you've got two different profiles of bait down there. You know what I mean? Like if you get a fish that's reluctant to bite, or you're out there on a day where fish are kind of shut down, like you at least have another smaller option on there along with your cut bait. And that cut bait's putting off the scent and oils and blood and stuff to attract fish, and then now there's a shad-like artificial bait in that fly going there along with it. So they catch fish. They don't catch them every day. They don't catch big fish every day. But you do catch a bunch of extra fish over the course of the year with them. The first thing I'm going to do when we're done filming today is blow my nose. I always carry a handkerchief with me. My girlfriend makes fun of me about that, but a man's always got to be prepared. You never know when you're going to have to blow your nose. If you got hair, you need to carry a comb with you. If you don't, if you're like me and you don't, then you just got to carry a handkerchief. But a handkerchief and a comb, every man should have. Yeah, why the hell is it these stores now, they're so hell-bent on saving money that they eliminate the lowest paying jobs? I used to see that in the hospital too. When I was working as a nurse, they would work us shorthanded with techs and CNAs all the time. You know, that'd be the first people they'd want to send home if census was low or whatever. And it's like, if you want to save money as an organization, why don't you eliminate some of them corporate jobs and them office jobs where people just push papers and go to meetings to try to justify their existence every day? The people, the real workers of the place, the people who keep the businesses running, the people who's making the least amount of money most of the time in those situations, like those are the first people they want to get rid of. Making damn sense. I've never understood that. I'm like, you know, you go to Walmart, for instance, and the Walmart in my town is, you could go in there for 2 things, and they're going to be out of one of them, guaranteed. Like, they're always out of something. The store's a mess. There's pallets everywhere. It's dirty. You know, it's a dump. So people are already having a bad experience when they go in there, but it's just something you accept when you go to Walmart because of the convenience, because they've got everything, not what you need usually, but for the most part, they've got every type of thing that you would need in under one roof. But you know what pisses people, you know what gives people the worst experience at these places is when you go in there and you've got your buggy full of stuff, whatever you got to get, and you go to the front of the store and there's one checkout line open and it's backed up all the way to the jewelry department. And you've got 4 or 5 different people in red shirts, you know, because the people in blue are normal employees, and then you've got these employees in red shirts. They're special. They're management or whatever. And they're standing out there, usually in a huddle around customer service desk, you know, huddled up, having a little meeting. It's like, why don't you just go over there and get your ass on the register and bring some people up? You know, it's like, but it don't deter people from shopping at Walmart. It has me. I've been this year. I've went to Walmart very little this year. I started going to Aldi for my groceries, and if I do need to go to Walmart for something like birdseed, I get my bottled water at Walmart because it comes in big 40 packs, whatever. But like when I do go, I build a list. Like I have a list, I make a list on my phone of stuff I need, and then I get everything at once. That way I might have to go once a month. I don't have to go all the time like I used to. And, you know, and I have to believe there's other people out there like me they're just over it. It's probably why there's so many daggone Dollar Generals popping up everywhere. People rather go to the dollar store than Walmart. That's a hell of a racket they've got going, though. I mean, you blink your eyes, there's a new Dollar General. Dollar General is a dollar store, but things in there are more expensive. The Dollar Tree store used to be a store that everything was $1. And then it went up. Now it's like, I ain't been in there in a long time. I think it's $1.25. I don't go in there very often. Now, I have been told there's panko breadcrumbs in there. My mom's seen them. So when it's time to buy more of that for carp fishing, I'll probably go there instead of going to Walmart. But normally, if I go to the dollar store, Dollar Tree, it's around Christmas time when I need wrapping paper. Or I need a picture frame or something. Because you can go in there and buy for $1.25 what it'll cost you $6 or $7 at Walmart or Target. Which we don't have a Target in my town. We got one, there's one in West Knoxville, which is a reasonable drive. We don't have a Target. We were supposed to get a Target and a Lowe's once upon a time. And that never happened. They ended up building a subdivision there where that place is going to go in. Because God knows we needed more people. I guess our mayor and city council realize they can make more money off a subdivision and an apartment complex than they could having a useful business come to town. Y'all don't get me started on our local politicians here. I was having a good day, and then we'll get pissed off talking about it. They just raised our taxes over a school that we don't even need. The other school's just fine. They need to quit bringing in all these people, then you won't have more kids to educate. And we don't even know these people coming in is going to bring more kids with them. You know, people ain't having kids now like they used to. They are in some countries, but they ain't here. People can't afford kids here. You know, people in America, the inflation, property prices, everything going up, can't afford kids no more. They ain't having them. And people like me don't want kids. You're seeing more of that now too. You know, used to, well, I mean, even when I was growing up, I mean, hell, it would make my mother's dreams come true if I had a kid, so she could have a grandchild. That's all I've ever heard. But, you know, growing up, culturally, especially here in the South, you grow up, you get married, you have kids. I'm getting bit back here again. But that's, you know, that's what you do culturally. And that's how it used to be. But my generation now just ain't having as many kids. And I mean, I know several people my age that don't have any kids. And it ain't like it's a situation where there's some fertility problems or something. No, it's like I know a lot of people my age, just like me, that don't want kids. And so, yeah, it's a different time now. And some of these people, these experts, allegedly, believe that that's how societies truly collapse, is when you stop making babies. When the population, the younger population, doesn't maintain pace with the population of older people who are dying off, then society eventually collapses. That's what they claim. Fortunately, me and you, we're old enough at this. I mean, most of you watching this or listening to me here are old enough that by the time we get to that point in the world, I think society has potential of collapsing just because of social media and how angry everybody is at everybody else all the time. I could totally see something like that collapsing society. But as far as just population decline, you and I are so old at this point. You know, we'll be dead and gone by the time that happens, so it won't be our problem. It'll be the next generation of people who ain't being born because people ain't having kids. Be their problem. We got our own problems to deal with, like why we ain't catching big fish today. That's what we got a problem with today. This secondary channel up through here just ain't panned out for us. I guess we should have been out in the main river channel. I guess we could have done worse numbers-wise, but size-wise, I don't know that we would have done much worse. Kind of going through another little stretch of nothing, I feel like. We're getting up here. If you look on the graph, that's where that right there, that creek comes in. Right here, we're almost on it. I was hoping there might be something around it. Boy, I'm stopped up, man. My sinuses are, whatever that wind was blowing, dust or whatever, something blooming out here, something dying, I don't know. Boy, it's tore me up. Might have to take an allergy spray or something when I get home. I still got to figure out what I'm going to eat, though. I do have some strawberry shortcake there at the house. I'm definitely going to partake in that. For sure. Here comes the wind again. It died down a lot. Yeah, again, the weather report this morning, I checked it before I left the house. When I got on the water and I felt the wind blowing, I'm like, where the hell did this come from? You pull up Wind Finder. 1 mile an hour, maximum, 3 miles an hour. I'm like, bullarky. But it's died off a lot now. We can actually fish that suspended bait without it bouncing up and down. Some of you out there maybe have had different experiences with that. But I know whether it's choppy water from the wind, or if you're trying to suspend baits where you've got a lot of pleasure boat traffic and you're bouncing up and down from boat wake, like I just don't do good. You'll catch fish here and there, but not like you do when you've got calmer conditions. And the water don't have to be flat calm, but you just can't have the big drops, big up and downs. This is actually a beautiful stretch of the river right here. I've never fished here. I've fished this, where we started at today, I have fished before, but I have never fished up this far. And it's actually pretty up here. It's not really developed. It's kind of nice. I wonder, now the timing's not right now, but you take like this creek right here. Now, assuming if we could get up there and look around with the graph and find that old creek bed, assuming it's not silted in, assuming it's there, and you come out here spring or fall and you anchor on that spot, would we get some fish working through periodically? Like that would be one of those type of places that I would totally be willing to anchor. And I'm pointing over here, it would literally be right under us here where we're at. The old, oh. Has he got it? I think if he does, it's another small. Nope, he don't. But that would be, that'd be interesting to maybe fish some of these places maybe this fall or next spring, get some of these creeks that we've passed by today. If we can, find the old, if it's silted in, or if it was a real shallow creek, not really necessarily worth fishing, although you may get some fish working up in there. But one of the ones I like are when you can find that old creek bed, because I really believe these catfish use them old creek beds as paths to follow up in there. And so when you can find that old original channel and set up right on it, boy, those are really good places to fish. When you've got deep water, a path leading from a deep water retreat area up to shallow water that has a lot of bait fish, like that's a recipe for success. And I have to believe as many of these little creeks as we've passed today, coming up through here, some of them would probably be very productive. Just put some time into them, There may be some places we hit this fall, and maybe next spring come out and put in a 4 or 5 hour session, just anchor down and see what happens, see what moves through during that time. I'm probably going to be doing this style of fishing here for another 3 or 4 weeks, maybe less. We might try some more anchor fishing again here soon to see. But right now, the bite is doing better moving. But as we get into fall, we'll get away from what we're doing now and get back into either anchor fishing in my other kayak or spot locking with the motor, dropping baits down on a specific spot and just putting in the trip there, putting in the duration of the trip on that spot and waiting on fish to pass through. And that's my favorite way to fish, and it's a productive way to fish, just not so much this time of year. July, August, September, you know, middle to late September. Oh, another one tugging. Middle to late September, the bite will start to kind of do better again. But once you get into October, November, when the water really starts to cool, that's when that anchor bite's going to really pick back up. At least where I typically fish anyway. I don't know that there's ever really a bad time to anchor fish for catfish. I don't know there's ever a bad time. But it's not always the best time. And right now, I mean, we come out, I want to catch fish, you know, I want to try to catch fish. I want to try to catch a bunch of fish. I want to try to get as big a fish as possible. Y'all don't come out here just to, well, I think some of you probably do come out here just to listen to me flap my gums. Matter of fact, I bet a handful of you do. There's probably 2 or 3 of you out there that actually likes hearing me talk about G.I. Joes. I'm into those damn videos that guy makes though, buddy. He's very talented, and I can't imagine how long it takes him. He's got one video. It's like an hour and 50-something minutes long. I'm going to watch it, and I know it's going to be amazing. I know it will be. But like, and I'm not a video editing expert by any stretch, but I've done a fair amount of it because of YouTube, right? Like I've been editing videos for years. Like I know the process a little bit. I'm not on his level. I don't have those kind of skills as far as like the special effects and all that goes. But I know enough about editing to be able to understand and appreciate the amount of time that guy has to put in to editing a project like that. And so, like, my hat's off to him, man. I got all the respect in the world for that guy for what he's been able to do. Not just from the fact that he's created a business around something he loves, like action figures, which is awesome, but just the amount of time and effort and energy he has to put into making those productions look as good as they do. Like for him to make a 2-hour video, I bet it had to take him a couple weeks or longer to edit all that. And I don't think he's a full-time YouTuber, because it may have taken him even longer. Like surprisingly, I watched that first video, and I was telling y'all about it there, I think on the carp trip. And I didn't, you know, I'd watched it on TV, so I didn't really see the views on there. I thought this thing's got to have millions of views, so it's amazing. But it didn't. And his channel, I think he's got 20-something thousand subscribers. Like it's a relatively, he's big enough that you can say he's broke out, but it's a smaller channel overall. I mean, 20-something thousand subscribers. He ain't making a living off of it. You know what I mean? Like he's making a little bit of money. He's got a little side hustle going on, but he's not making a living doing it. And so for him to be probably, I assume, working a full-time job and just regular life, family stuff, and then logging the amount of hours that it takes to do a project like that, my hat's off to him. He's hustling, he's grinding. It's just, I mean, hell, he apparently does all the voices for these various characters. And his Cobra Commander, I swear, if y'all listen, like, it's amazing Cobra Commander voice. So yeah, y'all come with me on these fishing trips. You're probably gonna hear me talking about daggone G.I. Joes. Let's catch another one. Let's not, because he's gone. Another one, dink back there, just with a nip. But when I get my repair kit, that's another thing I'm gonna do this fall and winter. When I ain't working on that brush out there or fixing my driveway, I'm gonna be repairing G.I. Joes at my kitchen table. I'm gonna try to play with them things again too. I don't know how to do it. If I got down in my yard or went out in the woods or found a creek or something and tried to have like a battle or build a fort or something, I'd probably get all stove up, not be able to get back up off the ground. Ain't that funny? When you're a kid, like you can get down in the floor and stuff and sit there cross-legged for hours or just be squatted down for hours playing. But boy, you try doing that as an adult and then try getting back up. Hell, last time I squatted down for a little while rubbing on Daphne the other night, and hell, I went to stand up, I'd about put my legs to sleep. I'd cut off the damn blood flow just trying to love on the damn dog a minute. Daphne's in a little bit of trouble again, y'all. She's chewed up her bed. Back in the, I think it was in the spring. Pretty sure it was in the spring. I'd got her a new bed. She had sold another bike, and so I took some of her proceeds and we got her a new bed. It was a fancy bed. It had one of them like Serta mattresses in it or whatever. Real nice one. I'll be damned, the other day if she didn't chew it up. I come home, there's foam everywhere. So she's got a partial mattress right now. I told her I'm gonna quit buying her mattress. This ain't the first one she's chewed up. I'd got her one of those, I think they're called Kong, K-O-N-G, like King Kong. But they're supposed to be a mattress that's kind of indestructible, like they can't be chewed up. Well, by gosh, she found a way. Shredded that thing. I tried that. She hadn't chewed up a mattress in a long time, though. I thought we were kind of past that stage, but she must have been pissed off at me for some reason. Come home the other day, and she had done it. You just can't ever fully let your guard down with that dog. She's a sweet, loving dog, but boy, she's spiteful. She's got a spiteful streak in her. She's just like me, I guess. I may not be all that sweet and loving, though, to begin with, but I'm definitely spiteful and petty. Definitely that. I'm ready to catch another fish, y'all. Just like to get another one. I ain't gonna fish too much longer, I don't think. It's getting hot now. That sun's popping out. Getting later on in the morning. Let me see what time it is here. Yeah, getting later in the morning now. I'm ready. You ready to get out of here in a little while, go get me something to eat, go home, and get this video put up on the computer there, get it going. I very wisely, here's something I've been doing, a little pro tip for y'all out there, maybe got a YouTube channel, or you're trying to start. Used to, I would get my thumbnail the day of the trip. Well, used to, what I really do, I would pull a screenshot from the video, and that would be my thumbnail. And then I got a little better at it, and I started putting some time and effort in. But I would try to get it the day of, the day of the trip. And I finally wised up and be like, what I need to do is go out on one day and get about 10 thumbnails. Get a day, where the lighting is right, where you've got adequate sun but not a glare, and that way you've got several good thumbnails for the next few videos, instead of having to try to remember or rely on it day to day. I apologize, I'm still sniffling and snotty sounding here. It's the first thing I'm gonna do when we quit fishing is blow. I don't want to do it if you were out here fishing with me I'd totally blow my nose. I wouldn't hold back, but since you all are watching this, and some of you may have like earbuds in, and you got your girlfriend or wives there with you, I'll hold off on blowing my nose, but I'm going to be doing it as soon as we quit fishing. They ain't going to be much longer. These fish better bite. We're about to drop off here a little bit to 50 feet according to the map. We'll see if it's actually 50 feet. But we got what looks like a little bit of a depression here. We'll see if anything's in it, and if not, I may get on up out of here soon. That big bite, it could happen at any time, but I'm feeling like today's just going to be one of them days where we're just going to have to enjoy our dinks that we've got. Got to take what the river gives you. I guess some of them pay lakers will write me an essay after this video and tell me all the things I should have done. Because, you know, they're experts because they fish in a quarter-acre size pond, and that's going to translate over to a giant reservoir like this with 70 miles of Tennessee River in it. Idiots. People like that, man. People like that. The news, the county commission that just raised their property taxes. Like, that's why when I get negative, it's those people. If I could just avoid all of that, just be happy-go-lucky all the time. I wonder where that boat come from. There's a boat coming out over here. I wonder if there's a ramp over there or something. If there is, I'm not aware of it. If it is, there's not one. It's not one that I've ever used. Maybe like a private deal or something. He's in a bass boat. I find it hard to believe he's been back there fishing the whole time. You know how them people are. They blow into a spot, make 3 casts, 80 miles an hour to the next one. So I would assume he's probably launched in there because he wouldn't have fished in there that long. Y'all wave at him as he goes by. Make sure you use all your fingers because that's the polite thing to do. You think he'll catch anything today? I bet he won't. I bet we've caught more fish than he will today. We've got numbers of fish. I mean, it's not been we've had our slow stretches, obviously. Even right now it's been a slow stretch. Although this fish here's, we got one hitting that left rod. He may actually have it. I think we're going to have this one here. But I mean, we've caught some numbers of fish today. We've lacked quality. That's what we've missed out on today. It's quality. With the numbers, I mean, I'm satisfied with the amount of fish we got. Just wish we could have got some big ones. And I wish my nose wasn't all stopped up. I'm gonna have a little bit of a run though to get back to the car because I had launched in that creek right there where we started at, and we've went now probably 2 miles up through here. At this point, what are we? We at 4 hours, thereabouts? Can't tell. Yeah, damn near. So this fish just come free. Y'all, he just let it go. I fought him all the way up there. He wasn't very big. He just let go. Well, fiddlesticks. If I could have landed that fish, I'd just went ahead and went home. I'd have went out on a bang. I'm gonna go home here in a minute anyway, I think. I'm hungry. I want to blow my nose. I don't have a great deal of confidence at this point that we're gonna hook something big. I think we just maybe shouldn't have been in this little secondary channel day. Maybe we should have been out to the left out there in the main riverbed. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. If I get to fish tomorrow, I won't be coming back down here, but probably get back out on some main channel, original main channel ledge. I don't know where I want to go tomorrow. It's Mother Nature dependent anyway. We're going to need her to change the forecast. It could change. You know how the weatherman is. Even today, you know, with the wind, like it wasn't calling for nothing, and we got pounded for 3 hours. Nice of it to slack off now when we're getting ready to go home. Normally, when you're going to have a windy day, it's calm in the morning and then the wind picks up throughout the late morning and afternoon. Today, it's the exact opposite. Cranking there first thing, and now it's slacked off. I don't think we got down that map there. I guess the water level ain't right. It never dropped down past 49 feet, I don't believe. That little depression that it showed. It's all new to me. I ain't been up here. One of them areas. It's a, you know, pretty good run. I mean, for me to come up here and feel, I wouldn't want to launch where we did, make a run up here, and then start fishing, moving our way forward. You know, that would be, well, hell, it'd take an hour to get back when we were done. But I ain't never fished up here. It's been a new experience today. I'm curious about some of these creeks as far as like spring and fall, but I ain't seen nothing out here today that would make me want to come back and hit this area again anytime soon. Although, I mean, there could be, somebody will chime in and say they've caught huge fish here the day after or something. Here we go. Here we go. He didn't hook up. He tapped it. He tapped it and scrapped it. That fish heard we was offering bologna sandwiches up here, and he said he ain't into that kind of thing. He ain't into them innuendos. He getting the hell out of here. I'm gonna be curious. If anybody out there watches to that point in the video where we talked about the bologna sandwich, I'm gonna be curious to see if anybody chimes in. This will be one of the few times in the comment box I'm actually looking forward to people chiming in, because I want to know if you've ever heard of a situation where somebody offered someone else a bologna sandwich and that was code word for them offering them some tail. I'm curious if I'm just curious, because I've never heard that before or ever since. But that guy, I'm telling you, that day, if you saw his face, and you know, you can fake like a reaction, certainly, but just how embarrassed he was, like how red his face got, like you can't fake that. Like that's legit. Like he really thought that she had offered him, you know, a bologna sandwich instead of a bologna sandwich. I wish I could remember his name. I'd look him up and see if he actually was dead. I'm sure he's dead. He was old then. But people do live longer these days. I can't remember his name though. I remember that conversation. I can see his face, but I can't remember his name. Y'all, here's what I'm thinking. I'd kind of hope we'd go through this little, what I thought was a little depression here, and there might be a fish down there, and we could end this video on a fish. We had two opportunities, one with the dragon bait I was reeling in, and that one that tapped right there on the suspended rod as we went through there. but I don't think it's gonna happen. And I think I'm ready to blow my nose. And I think I'm ready to get something to eat. So I think this is where me and you, we're gonna part ways. I think I'm gonna reel up, start making my way back. Wish I could have put us on some big fish today. Maybe one of them that popped off first thing that you all botched. It wasn't me. It wasn't me reaching for the rods, it was you. You lost them fish first thing. Maybe one of them was the big one. Who knows? We'll never know. But at least we got some fish today. You know, we got some feedback. We got some numbers of fish making our way up through here, an area I've never fished before, which is, you know, it's interesting to come. I mean, just seeing this area through here, it's very beautiful, you know, scenery-wise. So look right here. By gosh, it might happen. We're going to end this video on a fish after. No, we're not. Dadgummit. Y'all done botched another one. I shouldn't have let you grab that rod. I should have known you'd blow it the way you did there them one's first thing. He's done gone now too. He's done felt that hook and got the hell out of here. Daggone it. Y'all lose more fish than anybody I've ever seen. Y'all, I'm gonna get out of here. We'll do it again in the next one. I'll see you then.